Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Little ball from Jonathan David. What a strike from Jonathan David to give Canada the lead just before the hour mark.
What a magnificent Monday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province of Alberta at PlayAlberta.ca. So get in the game, enjoy it, and we got lots and lots to discuss. There's so much going on in the sporting world. You have the Oilers 1-0 this year without McDavid and Draisaitl. They get Nugent Hopkins hat trick, Henrique and Skinner score, and the Oilers in an entertaining game. Probably gave up a few more chances than they would like, but well, actually quite a few more than they would like. But they found a way to win the game, and at this. They're not going to judge wins or losses this much. You win, they don't care how ugly it is. They just need points because they're battling LA. The race for first in the Pacific is pretty tough. The Oilers are 5 back of Vegas with 12 games to go. And even if Vegas goes 500, then the Oilers got to get 17 points. Actually, they got it because Vegas would have the tiebreaker. They need to get 18 points in their 12 games. So they're going 9-3, or they're going 8-2-2. Like, it's going to be pretty difficult to catch Vegas. Really, it comes down to LA, because do you know who has the best home record in the National Hockey League right now? The LA Kings. 25 wins, 3 losses, 4 overtime losses. Like, they've been very good on home ice. And they have 9 of their remaining 13 games at home. The Oilers and the Kings do play 2 games in April. And I think for the Oilers, they just want to try to stay right within 1 or 2 points of LA before that game on April 5th. So they have 3 games this week, and they would have a game in Vegas and San Jose before that. So they got 5 games. I think you got to win at least 3 of them to be close enough to face LA twice in the final 7 games where you can say, I have a chance to finish at least second. I think first place is more of a pipe dream at this point than anything else for the Oilers, especially with the injuries. Even without them, it'd be tough to make up that many points in a short period of time. So it'll come down between them and the Kings. And the Kings are playing very well. And did you know the Edmonton Oilers have beat LA 3 years in a row? They've had home ice advantage every year. And in the standings, they beat the Kings by 5 points every year. 104-99 in both 22 and 24. And then in 2023, the Oilers had 109 points. The Kings had 104 points. So pretty consistent. The only thing that wasn't consistent was that the Oilers in 22, they won in 7. In 23, they won in 6 games. And in 24, they won in 5 games. Now, if you're a believer in trends and you want to continue, I guess if they meet, then the Oilers could win in 4. Possible? Sure. Likely? Not really. So we'll see how the Oilers go. They did skate today. They had a longer practice today because tomorrow's going to be a day off. Then they'll have a morning skate on Wednesday. They'll take on the Dallas Stars, who are hosting the Minnesota Wild tonight. Also for the Oilers, Ekholm didn't skate today. It's just maintenance day. He's getting rest. He's obviously still not 100%. So they're trying to give him as much rest as he can down the stretch. Evander Kane, John Klingberg both skated. John Klingberg has been cleared to play. So he is an eligible player for the Oilers. And I won't be surprised. The Oilers play 3 games in 4 days. Don't be surprised to see Stetcher, Emberson, and Klingberg each get 1 game in that number 6 slot on the right side. They're all right shots. I could see it happening. So will it be Stetcher first? He was in Kulak's pair today, so it might be Stetcher the first game. Maybe Emberson gets the Seattle game, and then you would have Klingberg against Calgary potentially. So we'll see. But that's kind of where it's at health-wise for the Oilers. Draisaitl, McDavid, you're not going to see him this week. So be prepared. Dallas, Seattle, Calgary, unlikely. It sounds like if there's no setbacks, that Leon Draisaitl would return to the lineup before Connor McDavid. When that is, I don't know. But the one good news for the Oilers is that they're in a stretch where they only play 3 games in 9 days. They had yesterday off, today, tomorrow. They play Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then they have 2 more days off, Sunday and Monday, before they take on Vegas next Tuesday. And even then, they have a 4-game road trip. They play every second day in the road trip. So their April schedule is much less compacted than last year. Remember down the stretch last year, the Oilers had something ridiculous, like 6 games in the final 9 days of the season. They ended up healthy scratching McDavid and Draisaitl for the final game. And they still might do that again, depending on where they're at in the standings. But for now, the Oilers, that's where they're at health-wise. The only change really in the lineup is probably Kapanen was skating today with Henrique and Hyman, and we saw him up there a bit in the third period. Corey Perry was with Ryan and Jones on the fourth line for the Oilers. So the Henrique line will have Hyman. You got Nugent Hopkins, Arvidsson, and Podkolzin, and then Skinner, Janmark, and Brown. Skinner, Janmark, Brown line was great on Saturday. They created a lot of chances. Man, if Matthias Janmark could ever score again, maybe he'll start scoring because he's had a lot of chances. Just can't finish right now. But he is creating a lot. I thought, Nugent Hopkins was very good. Also, you had Adam Henrique had a very solid game, which shouldn't surprise anyone. I don't know if people know this, but of the active most 50 goal scorers in the NHL, the Oilers have 7 of them. Corey Perry, 444 goals, and he has 15 this year. Draisaitl, 396. He is 11th. Perry's 7th. You throw Skinner in, he's 14th at 371. McDavid is 18th at 361. Kane is 23rd at 323. And then Henrique is 48th at 272, and Nugent Hopkins is 50th at 271. So they got some guys who can score. Make no mistake about it. I know McDavid and Draisaitl are out of the lineup, and that's obviously a big blow. But, this is not decade of darkness depth for the Oilers. They got some, and that even includes Zach Hyman, because if you go in the last 4 years, Zach Hyman's obviously a top 10 goal scorer. So they got some guys who can score. Make no mistake about it. So they should be competitive enough in my eyes here. You got to find a way to stay close to win, I think, 2 games this week. I think it'd be ideal. Now, I know that the Dallas one on paper is the hardest one, but the Oilers are going to be super rested for that game. And it's not like Dallas is playing awesome right now. They've only won 3 of their last 7, and 2 of the wins came in overtime against the Ducks and the Flyers, who aren't playing very well. So, the Flyers are brutal right now. They've won, 1 of their last 12 games? I think that came in a shootout. The Flyers are doing what you should want your team to do when you know your team's not making the playoffs. They're losing a lot down the stretch. And right now, you look at the league standings, currently they are in 28th place with 65 points. But Buffalo is 3 points back, and the Sabres have 3 games in hand. Heck, the Sabres might catch them here. Even Nashville, they're 5 points behind, and they got games in hand. Obviously, they're not catching Chicago or the Sharks, but don't be surprised if the Flyers end the season in 30th place with the third best chance to win the draft lottery. Honestly, you could never ask your team to lose on purpose, ever. I totally understand it. But if you have an opportunity to just lose some games, it's a good thing. You never ask your players to lose, but if they do lose, Connor Halley, it's not a bad thing.
No. I mean, hey, if you're gonna suck, you might as well suck the most and maybe get that top pick. I was gonna say, you mentioned the Oilers, not having the depth of the decade of darkness. Did you see the roster the last time McDavid and Draisaitl were unable to play?
Yeah, they had they go back to you had Hall and you had Eberle and you had Nugent Hopkins, I'm assuming, on that lineup.
No, not. He was out of the game as well. This is from Waz. He had Hall with Eberle, centered by Anton Lander. He had Pouliot.
Oh, yeah, Nugent Hopkins was hurt.
Pouliot, Roy, Yakupov, Purcell, Hendricks, Klinkhammer, Gazdic, Pitlick, Frazier. On the back end, Klefbom, Schultz, Marinson, Musial, Ollie, and Davidson. So there's some names. This team a little bit more capable, I would say.
Yeah. No. The Oilers have lots of, they got more depth. Obviously, there's a drop-off when it's McDavid to Draisaitl, figure it out. Most teams, most teams around the league, you could go to some forward groups, and the Oilers lineup, now keep in mind that was $20 million. Well, actually, even more if you throw in Kane. That's $25 million, $28 million out of the lineup of forwards. Of course, your team's not going to be as good. But think about it. Well, if they didn't have those players, they'd have money to spend on someone else somewhere. So you'd have some other players that were a little bit better. But either way, I thought they played well. Eight 401-1440. 833-401-1440. You can text us in our inbox. Also, some news. The WHL makes it official. They are expanding. Penticton is coming in next year. Chilliwack will be in the following season. Some changes you could see next year in the CHL. My understanding is the WHL would vote yes to this proposal, which is expanding to have 3 European imports on your team if you choose. And the WHL, my understanding is they would vote yes to that. So the Ontario League and the Quebec Major, I don't see why they'd vote against it. I think this is probably going to come in next year. So, there's where you'll get an influx of players around the league. Now, the expansion draft rules, I don't know everyone, but this is from what I understand. Any of the 2009 birth year kids, they don't need to be protected. Right? Those are obviously guys who were drafted most recently, so they don't need to be protected. Then you have, other than that, the expansion draft rules, from what I understand, you've got 2 options. You can go 3 20-year-olds and a total of 14 skaters, or 16 skaters. Now, it's not like in the NHL where you had to, a certain amount of forwards, defense, goalies, none of that. It's just players, skaters. You can either do 3 20s and 14 skaters, or, and I think some competitive teams might do that, or you go, 16 total skaters, and 2 of them could be 20-year-olds. So that's basically kind of how it works. And we'll see the other potential interesting thing. The Oil Kings, by the way, they're going to play Prince Albert. That starts this weekend in Prince Albert. They'll play Friday, Saturday in PA, and then they will have a Sunday, Monday off. They'll play Tuesday, Wednesday, which would be April 1st and 2nd next week in Edmonton. Then game 5 will be the Friday in PA. And if there's a game 6, it's going to be in Edmonton Sunday afternoon at 4:00, which would be a hell of a game. Game 6, pretty good draw for the Oil Kings, who draw very well. But the other thing that's intriguing about the Oil Kings right now, some of you, and I get it, I don't like to put too much onus on young players either, but Maddox Schultz is the projected number 1 pick in the WHL draft. The Edmonton Oil Kings, who made the playoffs, they have a 57% chance to win the draft lottery. They got the best odds because they have Moose Jaw's pick. Moose Jaw went for it last year and they won. Right? Then the Oil Kings traded Kovacevic and who was it? Court, the other defenseman, to Moose Jaw, and they got that pick, a first rounder. Now, Moose Jaw probably didn't expect that they were going to fall off this much this year, but they have. And they won the league last year, so they'll take it, right? It's kind of the cycle in the WHL. But are you kidding me? That could turn out to be a monumental good trade by Kirt Hill for the Oil Kings. And we're going to have Kirt on the show, and I'm going to ask him. I'm putting true serum in you over the phone. Did you honestly believe at the time of the deal that you could get the best odds to win the draft lottery? He's going to say no. Of course he is. No one thought Moose Jaw would fall this bad, but that could be massive. Now, the other rule for the WHL, for people who don't know, that 15-year-olds, you can do a exceptional status, but they changed the rules. So players who are 15, who are currently at their 14-year-old year, this is their draft year, those players who play up U18, they are now eligible to play up to 34 games. So Maddox Schultz, who's playing in Regina this year at U18, at 14 years of age, he's a hell of a player. He had 93 points in 44 games, over 2 points a game. U18, when he's 14, he would be eligible to play 34 games for any team that drafts him in the WHL this year. So that's a pretty big win for them. So it could be a massive draft. Now the draft lottery usually goes in May for the WHL. So not usually, it always does. So that's when we'll figure out where the Oil Kings are there. So they got the playoffs. I think that's a pretty good matchup against PA. PA's got a great goalie and they got a really good power play. But the Oil Kings, they played them tight. They each won twice. The one game here in Edmonton, Prince Albert won 4-1. But the Oil Kings were all over and they just couldn't score. PA's got a good goalie. So I think that's going to be a pretty close series. Number 2 versus number 7 in the WHL. Coming up on the show today, Arda Ocal will join us. All things NHL coming up. What about the Blues? Break up the Blues, boys and girls. They put a little separation now. They've won 6 in a row, holding down the final playoff spot in the West. We got Sean Brown is back. Kevin Woodley will join us a little earlier today at 3:20, talking all things goaltending. Kirt Hill, as I mentioned, GM of the Oil Kings will be by. We got Dean Brown. We'll talk some Senators. Spec, Mike Wilner, talk a little baseball. Did you know that the Major League... Now, technically, Major League Baseball started last week. I get it, over in Japan. But the first pitch for the Blue Jays is coming up on Thursday. It's right around the corner. And we're hearing rumors and rumblings about maybe a Vladdy Guerrero contract. I'm sure they would like to get it done before the season began, just to eliminate any of the conversation. Because everywhere it goes, that's what I'm going to talk about. It's just how it works. So we'll see. So we'll have all that. We'll talk. We'll hear from Chris Knobloch. Also, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who, of course, had his 4th career regular season hat trick, first in 6 years, almost to the date. Because, of course, it was on March 22nd. He got it. His previous hat trick occurred in March 26th, 2019. So a big game for Nugent-Hopkins, 9 points in his last 4 games. And 3 of those games, he had 3 points. So the Nuge is on fire right now for the Edmonton Oilers. And they'll need it. Without Draisaitl and McDavid, you need other guys to step up. And Jeff Skinner's got 3 goals in 2 games. Adam Henrique had a laser of a goal. So that's some good news for the Edmonton Oilers. Hey, Gregor, what'd you think of Bowman's after hours saying not matching Holloway because they would have had to sacrifice a key piece of the team and there's no way they could have gotten it done? I'm not clearly employed by the NHL, obviously, but I'm pretty sure there's multiple ways they could have kept him if they really wanted to. Just curious what your thought of his answer. Well, I don't think he's ever going to come out and say, hey, we made a mistake, because they did. And I said at the time, the Holloway matching I would have done. Would it have made it difficult to fill in your roster? Yes. Figure it out. Right? Figure it out. So now the mistake was made before Stan Bowman. Right? The mistake was made, should have offered Holloway a contract before July 1st. And a respectful contract. Now, they made it the time that they were going to grind down their RFAs. Thought they could get away with it. And most years you do. That's the truth. Most years you do. But they didn't last year. Up against Cap, St. Louis saw an opportunity, and they took it. But yes, the Holloway deal, if you would have offered Holloway 2 years at 1.9, he would have signed on June 30th. No question he would have. Heck, 1.8, 1.7 he probably would have. But they didn't do it. So, you know what? In hindsight, that was a mistake. Now, if Jeff Skinner keeps scoring here for this year and plays very well in the playoffs, you know, you live with it. But long term, yeah, that's going to hurt him. Now, Holloway, I don't think he'd have 60 points in Edmonton. I could be wrong. But just opportunity, everything else, sure. But he would be at least a 40-point guy here, right? Which would still be great value for what you're going to offer him. So they made a mistake there, no question. A key piece of the team, well, what's your definition of a key piece? That's really, that's a wide range. Because Holloway was only going to make $2 million. Would they have had to, you'd have to get rid of somebody. And it would have been hard because some guys had no MUMA clauses at that point. So yes, it would have been difficult, but you probably could have figured out a way to do it right now. Or you just could have started the season in LTIR. That's the other thing. They might not like it, but they could have done it. So we'll see. Quick break. We'll return on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the what?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Mr. Ruther checks off his bucket list.
Skydiving is tops on my list.
I want to go to Bali.
What's at the top of your bucket list, Mr. Rooter?
Definitely the Rubbermaid H2864R. It has 14 quarts of capacity with a spill-free pour spout and a corrosion-resistant handle. Wow, what a bucket.
You know that a bucket list isn't a list of nice buckets, right?
I do. That's how good this bucket is.
For a plumber with buckets of plumbing passion, call Mr. Rooter.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, 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 noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, nood, noodle, noodle, nood. Noodle, noodle, nood, 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 noodle, noodle, nood.
Throw the load down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
There's one. And another. No, not spring flowers yet, but rather huge deals. It's GMC's Truck Month at Wolf GMC Buick. Nab 0% financing up to 72 months on our most popular Sierra half-tons, or massive discounts starting at $8,000. Choose your truck from a great selection, like the fabulous all-new Canyon, right up to the trailer-hauling Sierra HD with the industry-leading Duramax diesel. Spring into Wolf GMC Buick today and snag your truck, and see the savings at wolfgmcbuick.com.
The place for all the sports action you can handle. The Sports Bar at Century Casino Edmonton. With big screens everywhere you turn. There's never a bad seat in the house. Plus food and drink features with something for everyone. Small bites to big bites. It's a top shelf menu of all your favorites. So bring your friends and catch the Oilers watch parties throughout March. Plus tons of other sports, so you're always entertained. Every day is game day at Century Sports Bar and Lounge.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows. Locally manufactured and installed, Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
2:20. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having a lovely Monday afternoon. Of course, lots going on. A few buzzer beaters in March Madness that we will get to. How's your bracket looking? How is it looking? Is it broken yet? Is it done? Still got a shot? Still got all my main teams in. I got actually 13 out of 16 in the Sweet 16, but I could see that coming to an end really quickly. So we'll see. Let's go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's as they introduce the new cheesy jalapeno and bacon quarter pounder. Cheesy jalapeno pepper sauce, perfectly picked and pickled jalapeno peppers and bacon, but only for a limited time at McDonald's. as there's lots to talk about in the NHL. And host of the NHL on ESPN, Arda Ocal, joins us once again. Arda, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
Jason, always great to be on. My bracket was busted even before day one because I forgot to make one.
Oh, well, there you go. That's it's hard to you can't score if you don't take a shot, Arda.
Someone once said you miss 100% of shots you don't take. Who was that again? I forget.
That's a guy who's soon to be the second leading goal scorer in NHL history. So, do you think now?
Exactly.
I had somebody ask me the other day, will it be a letdown if Ovi doesn't break the record this year?
I don't think it would be a letdown. Actually, I think it would actually up the anticipation because he would do it maybe even on night one, honestly. Like, maybe that changes the plan for opening night. Like, all of a sudden, opening night is all around Ovi if he's like one away or something, right? Like, if he ends the season tied with Gretzky, I can see opening night being a whole Ovi, and they have a whole summer to plan it, you know? So, no, I don't think it would be a letdown. I think it would be a letdown from the standpoint of we're all anticipating it, and we're all on this journey, and we all kind of want it to happen sooner than later, you know, because anything can happen in sports. So we're kind of like, no, let's get to it. Like, for me, I'd be happy if it was done next week, but that's because I want to see it.
Yes. No, I agree. It's just interesting, like the hype and the buildup. I could agree both ways. You can have an off season to really hype it up, and you know what? I think the NHL would. Okay, let's look. He needs one goal to break it or 2 goals to break it. I could see them planning. Hey, our first 4 games of the season in Washington are going to be at home because you know what? You want the opportunity to do it in front of your home crowd. And I could see that it would be a big deal. So, you know, and maybe Pittsburgh's in town and, you know, a few of their biggest rivals for the first few games of the year. So there is a benefit if indeed he doesn't do it, but he's obviously got a very good chance. Now, speaking of doing it, the St. Louis Blues, winners of 6 in a row. They're rolling. You know what? They're beating teams below them in the standings, teams they should beat. And they have now positioned themselves, even though they have the fewest games left, they only have 10. And Calgary is 4 back with 3 games in hand. But the Blues have still the best schedule remaining and the fewest games.
Yes, and they also won a crucial game last Thursday against the Canucks. Like, if the Canucks had won that game in regulation, the probability swing, so we get like a regular update on playoff probabilities from our stats and information group, and if the Canucks had won that game in regulation last Thursday against the Blues, and they were going to, and the Blues tied it up with like 3 seconds to go in the game, which was like drama in itself. And then they end up winning in overtime. But it would have been like a 25% probability swing in favor of the Canucks. That's how important that one singular game was. So if the Blues make the playoffs and the Canucks don't, a lot of people will be pointing to that game as one of the big swings for both teams, because their probabilities didn't change that much. The Blues were in the lead because they were in that wild card position, but it could have changed drastically if Vancouver held on to win in regulation. So a massive game. And they're currently, like right now, today, they're at 71.1%. So that they have almost a 3/4 chance to make it into the postseason, and they're 4 points up on Calgary in the second wild card spot. But like you said, the Flames have some games in hand. So it's going to be interesting, but I think the Blues do hang on.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to get in for sure. What about in the East? Who do you like the best?
The Habs, for sure. They have the highest probability, but they also have the easiest schedule as compared to the other teams that are fighting for wild card spots. So they have an easier strength of schedule as compared to teams like the Blue Jackets and the Islanders and the Rangers. So they have 13 games left. 7 of those are against playoff teams, and 6 of them are at home, and 6 against divisional opponents. So that's an easier road than the other teams mentioned. Detroit actually has the hardest in the entire league. Like they have a gauntlet of a schedule for the remainder of the season. So I would say the Habs are in great position on paper to hold on. And also watching them play, like compare them to the Rangers in recent games. Like that game the Rangers played against the Flames where they really needed those points, and they looked listless in the last 2 minutes of the game, and they needed a goal. And compare that to the Canadians, where they really have that Marty St. Louis, like, hard-nosed, we're going to fight to the bitter end. Like they look like they're playing competitive hockey, and they want every single puck battle to go their way, and they want to outskate their opponents in every race. Like they just look like they're fighting as hard as possible most of the game. So to me, like the eye test plus the numbers, I'm pretty bullish on the Habs holding on.
Are you surprised about the Habs?
For how quick, I guess, the turnaround? Yeah, I'd say so, because we probably would have waited another year or two to see the young talent mature. But I think the culture is serving them very well. I think the fact that it's ingrained. It kind of reminds me. We just did the women's college hockey world national championship. It kind of reminds me of Ohio State and Nadine Muzzerall, and how she instills this like grit and determination into her teams, even if she doesn't have the best talent in the entire country. Similar to Marty St. Louis, like very much a culture of winning and a culture of determination, and I think that has served them well this season to get them to where they are.
Arda Ocal joins us. As those teams are exciting, who's a bigger disappointment for you, the Rangers or the Canucks?
Yeah, I'm going to have to point to the Rangers on this one, just because they're coming off a President's Trophy season, Jason. They're coming off a conference final appearance. And the Canucks lost in 7 games to the Oilers in the second round, right? But they were up 3-2 in the series. They have their own share of disappointments. But if I'm comparing both, I would have to say the Rangers. I know, obviously the Canucks had their share of drama as well. The Rangers certainly had drama with the memo and, having to calm the locker room down and trading the captain. But when you look at that team, like not too much has changed. Like they've had some pieces come and go, but they're by and large, other than Jacob Trouba, like their core has been the same. And they do still have one of the best goaltenders in the league. And yeah, the Canucks have had their share of injury problems, but the Rangers fans, if that team does not make the postseason, Jason, I feel like there would be a big call among Rangers fans for sweeping changes in that organization, because I think they're just fed up of not being able to go over the hump and finally make it to the dance like they envisioned that team would possibly be able to do.
Yeah, I look at the Rangers and the Canucks, and so they're both disappointing, but do you see one having a better chance to rebound next year than the other?
Quite possible. I mean, the Rangers, they don't seem like they're that far off. Like they just need a couple of pieces. It all starts like Shesterkin is still an elite goaltender. What does a healthy Thatcher Demko do for the Canucks for a whole season, right? What does a rejuvenated Elias Pettersson do? What a healthy Quinn Hughes for the stretch. Like it's crazy to think that we're having this conversation with these two teams because they have such great players, right? It's got to be a culture mentality thing. Do they, what changes in the off season with both of them? Like they're not. I feel like they're a tweak here or a change there from being back in the mix to where they were.
Yeah, like it's. Now it's wild. Shesterkin's got the contract. And then I want to get to Brock Besser, who, like, if you look at Brock Besser's numbers and keep in mind, like, he played with a really good center iceman in JT Miller, who they don't have anymore. And obviously Brock Besser had a great year that year and he scored the 40 goals, but he's only been a 30 goal scorer one time. And that was last season in his career. And I just look at Brock Besser, to me, is going to be the poster child for getting overpaid on his next contract. What do you think?
Could be, especially if those numbers apply. I feel like people will be saying that about Rantanen if he doesn't produce to his level pretty quickly, because we're already starting to see the murmurs of, him with Nathan McKinnon versus him without, like we're already starting to see that across his time in Carolina and in Dallas. So, but yeah, like it's crazy to look in hindsight to see, which players. It's almost like the Patrick Kane effect in a way, right? Like what players lift you up and help you grab the bag versus what happens when you're not with that player anymore,
Yeah, well, it's 100%, right? Like JT Miller is playing just fine without Brock Besser. Now, is Brock Besser going to be playing as well without JT Miller? Well, we will find out and see. Arda Ocal joins us, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. What did you make of the New Jersey Devils? They're kind of just limping into the playoffs, right? I think they're probably going to get in, but they're not playing very well. Were you surprised at how snappy their coach was? Kovacevic was asked, "Hey, wait, we got to play better defensively," right? Said we, and then a reporter brings it up to the coach, and the coach's like, "Well, Kovacevic better play better," and walks out. And I'm just like, "Whoa, things aren't rosy in New Jersey right now."
Yeah, but we're also in the stretch. We're in this, like, to your point, the Devils are in a tough situation. Jack Hughes out, Dougie Hamilton out. They're dealing with injuries, and it's a pressure cooker, right? Like, this team is pretty much landlocked where they are. Like, the Rangers are, I don't know, what is it, like 5 or 6 points back. So there is a possibility that they get out of that third in the Metro position, but very unlikely they're catching the Hurricanes, who are 10 points ahead of them in second place. So they're probably going to have a first round matchup against the Hurricanes, but still, like, they're still fighting. They're still battling. I like it. Like, here's the thing, like, we always have this conversation about, like, if there's some fiery quote from a coach or a player, and then there's this sort of debate. This typically happens in hockey, right, Jason, where it's like, ooh, this is maybe a little bit too much, or, maybe this is better suited in the locker room. But then we ask to see the fire and the passion, I prefer to see it, and I think it has its place. Certainly fun to talk about it. And particularly Sheldon Keefe, though, because there was always this, like, back and forth in his time in Toronto where quotes like this, and whether he would be able, whether that market versus him now being in Jersey, like how it was treated, et cetera. Like, I like it coming from coaches. I liked it coming from Sheldon Keefe. And I'm sure that at the end of it, like, they'll probably have their private conversation, but still, like, from our perspective, I want to see more of that.
Yeah, I was kind of caught off guard because, Kovacevic, it wasn't like he was calling out his team and the coach just calls out one individual. It just, obviously he's frustrated. And I look at New Jersey and they're just, honestly, the way they're playing, Carolina might have the easiest first round matchup going in. And what about the Hurricanes? And suddenly, like, yeah, okay, they don't have Rantanen. And all of a sudden Taylor Hall's like, hey, don't worry, guys, I'll help produce. And he's got 5 goals in 6 games and 8 points.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting first round matchup. But what if the Rangers do get in and they play the Capitals in the first round? Like, when was the last time we saw such a 180 in a playoff matchup preview in consecutive years? Like, last year, everyone was basically saying, "Oh, the Rangers are going to completely steamroll the Capitals." Everyone predicted that being a sweep, pretty much, and it was. This year, how many people would predict a sweep of the Rangers over the Capitals in the playoffs this season? Like, what a complete 180 to the way things were last season.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's very much true. Like the Capitals look really good. So I'd ask you today, if you had to pick, and looking at playoff and matchups and everything else, because they're both going to get the second wild card team. The Capitals or the Jets, who do you have faith in will go deeper in the playoffs?
The Jets would be facing the
Blues.
Yeah. I say they beat the Blues. Yeah. See, the problem is then they're facing another Central team, right? Like, that's tough, man. Like, the Central and the Atlantic are ridiculous. Like, they're absolutely ridiculous. Like, especially post trade deadline. So, like, I almost hesitate to give any of those, not because I don't believe they will make it out of their respective conferences, but because of how difficult their early matchups will be. I would say the Caps, but then, like, I'm shocked that I would be picking the Caps to go far, but they're the only team that has clinched a playoff spot right now, and they're fighting for the President's Trophy, and they look like a really, really good, amazing team. So, I guess I would say the Caps for that reason, because I don't know if they don't have a tougher divisional matchup than the Jets would.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I would say.
No, I would agree. Like it's just kind of interesting. Like they both being the best teams, but yeah, I get it. A lot of people around, I'm not really sure I'm sold on either one of them. So maybe it's valid, or maybe they're just getting disrespect. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see who goes deeper between those two teams. As always, Arda, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Anytime. See you soon.
Arda Ocal joins us from ESPN. So it is interesting. Like all of a sudden the Montreal Canadiens look like, hey, they could get in the playoffs. A really good chance. So good for them. Fun team to watch. When we come back, we will talk playoffs, matchups. We're going to talk expansion and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertips. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
Riverside Marine and Motorsports are back for the 2025 Edmonton Boat and Sportsman Show, March 21st and 23rd. Discover new 2025 models and exclusive offers like Yamaha finance rates and big rebates. Riverside Marine and Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit FemaleSuperLeague.com.
With the lead up to the playoffs underway, players are definitely stepping up their game.
And the fans are doing the same. Simple snacks like chips and dip may work at the front half of the season, but now more and more fans are rocking the Wilhauk beef jerky for game time get-togethers.
Just make sure you bring enough for everyone if you want to be invited back for the playoffs.
Make your next hockey game day a Will Hockey game day with Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today because you don't win games with salad.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at Cantork.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
2:46. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you are having a lovely day. As we get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Hockey Super League, a premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development, offering borderless hockey, including provincial and cross-province competition. Check out hockeysuperleague.ca for more information. As we are joined by the general manager of the Edmonton Oil Kings. They know who will be their matchup in the first round of the WHL playoffs. They will be taking on the Prince Albert Raiders Friday and Saturday in PA. Then next Tuesday and Wednesday in Edmonton. Game 5 is Friday in PA, and Game 6 would be back in Edmonton on the Sunday. I think that'll be a 4:00 start, if I'm not mistaken. So an opportunity here for the Oil Kings. It should be a really good matchup. Kirt, when you look at these teams, 2-2, I think, in the regular season against the Raiders, they got a really good goaltender. They got a really good power play. How do you feel your team matches up?
Yeah, we're looking forward to the matchup. It's been tight games all year, and yeah, like you said, they got one of the better power plays in the league, and we got one of the better penalty kills in the league, and yeah, their goaltending's been good. Our goaltending's been good, so it's everything's pointing to be a really good first round series between the two clubs.
Looking at your squad, health-wise, everybody's good?
Yeah, everybody's expected to be in the lineup for Game 1.
Okay, well, it's obviously a good one. Now, I have to ask you, Kirt, for fun. When you made the trade on December 23rd to the Moose Jaw Warriors to get their first round pick, did you what were the chances you thought, hey, we're going to have the best odds to win the draft lottery in 2025?
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know if we'd have the best odds, but I certainly, when we were going through that and making deals, it was, I knew they were a team that was loading up. And at that time, I mean, pretty much almost every team in the league was asking me about Kovacevic, and he was probably the big piece of that deal. And then they got the right shot and Wojtek Port as well, defenseman. But yeah, we certainly were trying to target some picks that we thought could be higher. And just with how much they loaded up, we knew they'd probably have to be recouping assets. And so to say that I thought it'd be, have the best odds going into the lottery, I'd be lying. But to think that, there was a chance that it could be in that top 6 of teams potentially missing the playoffs is kind of what we had thought.
And so if I'm reading the rules right, at worst, you'll pick third, correct?
No, at worst, we would pick 2.
Okay. So even better. So you're going to get the first or the second pick automatically. So that is a huge opportunity. And, Maddox Schultz right now, the young kid out of Regina who's playing U18. And now due to the rule changes, because he's playing up a level, he can play up to 34 games. Now, is that 34 games, Kirt? Is that regular season and then he plays playoffs on top, or is it 34 that includes regular season?
So that would just be his affiliate player games. So that would be 34 games until his regular season is completed with his minor hockey club. So once his, wherever he decides he's going to play minor hockey next year, when that team is done, he would be able to become a full-time member.
Oh, okay. So he could play 34 games at that time. How much, now I'm not saying you'll get him, but I know you've had players beforehand. How much do you have to work with these teams to ensure, you don't want to, take him too long to ruin his season there, but at the same time, if he's good enough, you want him to play in the dub. How does that work?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, this is going to be kind of uncharted waters with a guy that can play 34 games. I mean, the last player that was granted status like that was Matt Savoy, and he ended up playing for the Winnipeg Ice and still had his games with Rink Winnipeg. So that's really the only player that I can remember that played that amount of games. So it's certainly going to be something that's going to that would have to be a larger conversation if we're fortunate enough to get him in the draft. And yeah, there's certainly going to have to be some type of balancing act there. So you don't want a player to feel like he's not a part of whether it would be here or the other club that he's with. So there's probably a bigger conversation that would have to happen if like I said, we win the lottery and end up getting him.
Now, Kirt, usually in a year where your team's making the playoffs, obviously you're scouting everybody, but you're maybe not following the top 2 or 3 picks as much because you're like, well, the odds of us getting it is very low. This year's been a little bit different because Moose Jaw has been at the bottom, so you've kind of known pretty much all year long that you would have this opportunity. How did that change, if anything, the scouting plans for your guys?
Well, certainly it's been, and with having Seattle's pick as well, I mean, there was a point in the year where they were, not even a playoff team. So there was at one time, it was Moose Jaw and Seattle were the bottom 2 in the league. So we've certainly, Seattle's had a better second half here, and that pick's going to end up being number 8. But all in all, it's been, a lot more due diligence work going in. I think with the, when you're picking that high in the draft, you're spending a little bit more time with these players' families and doing a lot more background, trying to get to know the kids as much as possible. You can kind of target a group there a little bit more. Not that we don't do that when you're picking later in the first round, but it's a little bit more unpredictable with who's going to be there at that point. And obviously, once you go down to the later rounds, it's just the resources to be able to do that with every guy is not as easy. But we've targeted kind of the group that we feel could be the top 10 in the draft this year for us, and been trying to do as much due diligence as possible.
Yeah, which is great. Now, Kirt, the other big news that came in the WHL was expansion for next season. Your thoughts on what this will mean. And I guess 2 teams over the next few years. So, you're going to have to go through 2 expansion drafts over the next 2 years as well.
Yeah, no, it's something that, I've never been through an expansion draft myself. So, but I mean, the league's going to provide outlines with what that's going to look like. But, with that, there's certainly going to be a guy on our protected list, potentially a roster player or one of our guys we've drafted or listed in the past that those 2 teams are going to get opportunities over the next year to take. So, I guess there's just going to have to be, some contingency planning there with the specific guys get picked. How are we going to backfill that, and what that's going to look like moving forward?
Now, for a player who gets drafted this year, right? Obviously, they don't need to be protected. Like, is the expansion draft, is it happening before the draft, or do you have any timeline on when the expansion draft occurs?
Yeah, the expansion draft is going to happen. It's going to happen before the draft. Yeah, the day before. It'll be before the first round of the WHL draft on the 7th. So it'll be done beforehand. So you'll have a little bit of an idea going into draft day. If you lost a specific player, maybe you can try to make a trade on draft day if you have to backfill a roster spot, or if you potentially lose a younger player that maybe you need to backfill positions when you're drafting the next day as well.
So, Kirt, it's been a few months now since the announcement by the NCAA that major junior players can now go to college. And I know a lot of people are kind of like, we don't know what's going to happen. Some think, it's going to be the Wild West. It's going to be crazy around a player movement. Do you think the league is going to get younger? Do you think there's going to be that many younger players who would go junior A because they didn't want to ruin their NCAA eligibility, or is that maybe overblown? What's your sense from people you talk to and advisors and stuff like that?
Well, I certainly think from the Canadian standpoint, like those younger players, there was probably every draft, there's maybe a handful of guys that didn't come to the league because, they just wanted to play college hockey eventually, and they decided to go to the BCHL or AJHL, whatever it may be. I feel like all of those players will be coming now. There's really no reason for them not to. And then I think the influx is going to be, which I've even just spending time in Minnesota now and some of the U.S. states here over the course of the year. I mean, everybody's open to conversations now. And I mean, it was pretty hard to even get a conversation started with somebody in Minnesota before. And now it's certainly an option that they're all, a majority of players down there are now exploring, at least listening to, what the opportunity may be and if it's the right thing. So I do think there'll be younger players coming. I do think there'll be older guys that get pushed maybe back from the NCAA a year when they're supposed to go in, and, what do? Do they go to the USHL, or now do they come to the Western Hockey League for a year? So I think you're going to have some of those guys that are just coming to our league for a year or two. And then I think we're going to find out here with the older players as we kind of go through this, probably this summer here. Once the Western Hockey League season wraps up, it's how many guys are going to choose not to come back to our league as 20-year-olds and potentially just start school. And whether that trickles down to 19-year-olds and the odd 18-year-old, I don't know. And I think that's the biggest kind of mystery right now, which probably be naive to think that no one's going to leave. So we'll just see if that's a large number of players or a pretty small subgroup.
And with that, do you expect any other rule changes coming in the WHL because of this?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a moving. Like I don't see anything changing like substantially right away. I know that there's been chatter. Does the draft age change? I think everyone's going to kind of wait and see how this thing plays out over the next couple, 2 to 3 years. And then then it probably gets reevaluated by the league. Like, do we need to move the draft age up a year, or what does that all look like? But I think right now, I don't see anything to be a massive, substantial change that's going to happen here in the short term.
Awesome. Well, Kirt, best of luck against the PA Raiders. Should be a heck of a series. Looking forward to seeing that one. And then, of course, best of luck. When is the draft lottery? What day? Do you know what date the draft lottery is in the WHL?
Yeah, all indications right now is some of the U.S. rules have changed on that lottery, so I think they're planning on doing it after the first round of the playoffs.
Okay, after the first round. Well, we'll hopefully we'll talk to you then before then as well. So, best of luck this round.
All right, thanks, Jason.
There you go. That's Kirt Hill, GM of the Oil Kings, and man, so they automatically going to get the first or the second pick. So they're going to get a hell of a player. That turned out to be an excellent trade for the Oil Kings. Now it worked out as well for Moose Jaw because they won the league. Right. And so sometimes you'll be like, yeah, we're going to give up something. But now if it's Manic Schultz, I'm sure they'll be like, geez. But you know what? They won their first ever league title in the WHL. So, they're going to say, hey, it was worth it. And obviously you got to give up. They probably never thought they would be that bad this year at the time of the deal. Let's get to the con man and a sports 1440 update. When we return, Sean Brown will be back in studio. We'll be talking about the orders and the defense. We got Kevin Woodley at 3:20. And order fans, there's a stat you might want to hear from Woodley. That's all coming up and more. But first, let's get to the con man and a sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They are hiring right now for HVAC installers and plumbers. Very competitive wages. Also a hiring bonus for the right person. You will get RRSP matching, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply today at legacyheating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
A lighter night on the ice night in the NHL. Just 4 games. Canucks meet the Devils. Islanders host the Jackets. Wild in Dallas. And Utah up against the Detroit Red Wings. Off the ice, Winnipeg Jets. Gabriel Velarde will be out week to week with an upper body injury he suffered on Sunday against the Sabres. Jets head coach Scott Arniel said that his status for the playoffs is currently undetermined. In the association, Toronto on the road taking on the Wizards. Tip off at 5 o'clock. You also the Lakers in Orlando. Pacers up against the Timberwolves. Sixers meet the Pelicans. Nuggets host the Bulls. Bucks in the desert taking on the Suns. And the Kings hosting the Boston Celtics. March Madness on the women's side going on right now. Halftime, Oklahoma leads Iowa at 38-27. Earlier today, number 1 Texas and number 2 NC State both advancing. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by our co-host and former NHLer Sean Brown. We'll also be joined by Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and hear another edition of Cam Tate's 2-Minute Warning. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the guac?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born, blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
There's an old saying that goes, many hands make light work. We believe that at GS Construction. So what does it mean? It means a task is easier to complete when many people work together. It also means that GS Construction is preparing for the start of the 2025 season and is hiring. Currently, we're on the lookout for top men and pipe layers. So if you're one of those skilled pros who know how to do your job safely and efficiently, we're interested. Come join a team that's as solid as the infrastructure we build and maintain. Visit tsconstruction.ca today.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit edmontonexpocenter.com today.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Truck Month is on now at GMC, and it's one of the best times to get behind the wheel. Right now, get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models with a 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen, an available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8 engine with 470 horsepower, plus the most trailering assistance technologies in its class. Sierra has some serious hauling power and is the only off-road ready HD. Truck Month is on now. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock, welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game, but if you do, use your Game Sense. Go to GameSenseAB.ca and learn more. Quick text, hey guys, do you think the Orders would go the RFA route to recoup some youth? What about a nice type? Take a risk, pay them well. They have a massive gap in skilled youth from CC. Well, hey, Matthew Nye is a hell of a player. He's got 25 goals already. Any offer sheet for him is starting with at least a 7 in million. Like, I honestly think the window for offer sheets, you can still do it. I think it's going to be hard. There's so much more cap space now available that you would have to overpay so much to get a team not to do it. And then the more you pay an annual salary, well, now you got to give up more in compensation. But Matty Nye's like, man, if I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs, like, I've got Tavares and Marner as UFAs. I like Marner. Okay, sure, he's younger. You want to keep him, but if it came down to it, honestly, I would let Tavares walk, and I'd pay the money for Matthew Nyes. He's younger, he's faster, he's bigger, and especially if they have another flame out in the playoffs, you obviously have to change your major core in Toronto. There's no reason you couldn't. But Matthew Nyes a heck of a player. I can see why you'd want him, CC. But the Orders, I don't see being in a position to offer sheet and give up that much for a guy like that. They'll just, have to make some astute moves and, find some good young players elsewhere. There's always guys out there. You just got to go find them. Let's welcome in Sean Brown, fresh off a little tour of the U.S. Brownie, how you doing?
Very good. Good to be back. I don't know whose cookies these are, but better move them if you don't.
Oh,
want.
yeah.
I will eat them all.
You've got the Girl Guide cookies over there.
Yummy.
Yeah. No, hey, they are good.
Yeah.
They are good. So let's talk the Oilers. Obviously, some injuries have been an issue lately for them. No question about it. Some key injuries in Draisaitl, McDavid, but they're 1-0 without them against a team I thought they should beat in Seattle. What did you make of Game 1, Sans 97 and 29?
Yeah, I thought it was great. I love the energy and the enthusiasm they came out with, and I think we talked about the depth and looking for other guys to kind of step up, and they did that, obviously. It's amazing. I think when you play with, those types of players, it's easy to kind of default and kind of sit back because obviously they do a lot of the heavy lifting, right? But I think, when those guys go down, it obviously brings the best out of, not that it doesn't, there's just a bigger sense of urgency, right? Because you need guys to step up, and they did exactly that. But it's nice because those guys they make plays, and we expect a ton. And what is kind of neat is, we don't typically expect a lot from, or as much maybe from our third, fourth line. But depending on where you are in the lineup, if you now go from the third, fourth line, you get slotted on, the second or the first, it changes. It changes the way you play. It changes the expectations and the plays that need to be made. And so I think those guys took advantage of the opportunity, and you know what, that's, for this short time, because we know they're going to be back, is a good thing, because it's going to build some confidence in some guys. And, and if they continue to play like this, it can only help. There isn't as much urgency, I guess, right? To have those guys back. They can kind of take their time, because McDavid's played a ton of hockey, and having a little bit of a rest on top of nursing, an injury is probably a good thing for him.
Yeah. Now the Trent Frederick one, he had a little setback, so now he's not going to play this month. I don't think maybe next Saturday would kind of be the earliest for him, because if Bowman said 2 more weeks, well, you do the math, that'd be 2 weeks. So for a guy who comes over, some players, now he's here, he's getting used to the players, but when you're not playing, you're not around the team. You're not around the team, Brian, right?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to feel part of it for sure. If he only gets in 5 or 6 games, is that a concern at all, or it doesn't matter as long as he gets in 5 or 6 before the playoffs?
I mean, the more he can get into, the better, obviously. But being in that position, throughout my career, there's nothing, there's probably nothing worse. I mean, you're still a part of the team, but you're kind of missing out on, the conversations and the daily grind, right? No player enjoys being out of the lineup, whether they're injured or a healthy scratch. But I mean, the more games for him, I mean, you want to, especially for him, I mean, it still is a new team, and getting on the ice and getting familiar and some chemistry and a better understanding, you only get that through playing, right? So, but I think you'll kind of take what you can get. I think, what we're all seeing now is it gets down, as we start to get down in games here, the urgency and the expectation just starts to become more magnified. Guys are going to want to dial in their game, and you want to be a part of that too. So I think it's a good thing having him come back. I think it helps, it helps the urgency and the competition throughout the Oilers lineup, because, they need that physicality. He's going to bring that. And that also is something that, Podkolzin, Janmark, Kapanen, like there's other guys that, will know that he's coming back and be like, wow, you know what? It's got to keep everyone sharp, and we'll keep everyone sharp.
Hey guys, I'm not a complainer. I love the song, but why is Sean Brown's intro always Fortune Son from Connor Halley? From John to Connor Halley.
Because there was a joke once made about Brownie being a fortunate son, silver spoon. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We just kind of rolled it. It's a good song.
It works very well. Like if there was a song, I knew the story. I just wanted to bring it up for Brownie again.
Yeah, I got to hear that again. Eh?
Oh, silver spoon. It's true.
Try to get some temptations in, because those are request ones.
But first round draft picks, silver spoon. Spoon-fed type of players, right? Just like in life, like look, somebody's like, who did Declan just feed you that cookie, or did you actually feed it yourself?
No, I got it myself.
Oh, okay.
Someone put it there purposely, knowing that I have zero control. Zero control.
You're live on the radio. You're not supposed to eat a cookie while we're doing the show.
And you can
hear me? You can eat it during. Well, no, we can tell you have something in your mouth. You're not chewing like.
Oh, okay.
No,
my mom did tell me to get the gum out of my mouth. So
you can eat the cookies during the commercial break.
I have no control. I got a sweet tooth.
I know. God. So do I. But dude, I don't trust me. I'm probably the worst sweet tooth around.
I could probably shake the silver spoon because I was a first round pick.
Yeah, you were.
But I like to think I earned it.
Yeah.
Right. Or hey, if anyone, like I just came back from visiting my son. If anyone has a silver spoon,
it's him.
It's him.
Oh yeah.
Because we brought his girlfriend, which was really nice. He's got a really nice girl. And so it was nice. They got beat out, so he's gonna spend a little bit more time down there with training and obviously finishing school and stuff like that. So he wasn't going to see his girlfriend. So it was actually a nice opportunity to bring her down there, and spend some time and get to know her.
So his school ends what? End of April?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he's got another month of schooling down there.
Yeah.
How was his season overall?
I think it was really good. I think it would have been nice to see him. We went down there with hoping the fact that they'd get to the second round, and they didn't. They got beat out by Bemidji, but we didn't want to.
That was like they should have beat them.
No, I think they should have been beat.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
I think so. But we didn't want to go down there because he was going to be playing hockey, and everyone's schedule, and we knew we weren't going to see him for the amount of money and time that it was going to take to get there. So we thought, you know what, we can always watch him on TV. It'd be nice. It's more about just getting down there and spending some time with him. So, it was nice. It was nice to go down. His schedule was obviously, pretty relaxed, other than the fact that, actually, he didn't even have school. Yeah, he didn't even have school. But it was just, at the end of the day, it was really nice to spend some time with him and to spend some time with his girlfriend who, I don't think that's ever a bad thing, right? Is kind of getting, spending time with your kids and as they start getting older and dating.
Yeah.
It was good. I think, I had a lot of fun.
You look at the Oilers' defense now, Brownie, and you've had a few games to look at Jake Wallman. But we'll get to Wallman in a sec, but Ty Emberson had been in, and Troy Stetcher has come in and played really well, right? Carrying the puck up, transporting it. So Klingberg is now being deemed healthy today. I got that in conversation. So Klingberg's practiced enough. He's now being cleared. He can play. So you got Klingberg, you got Emberson, you got Stetcher. And they're clearly all battling for that number 6 spot. They're all right shots. Obviously, that's where one guy's going to play beside Kulak. How do you see that playing out between the three of them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, how can you not like Stetcher and the effort in the way that he just gives you everything he's got, right? He's obviously an undersized defenseman, but doesn't play like that. He's out there, he competes. You can see him almost, I don't want to say, thriving or enjoying playing under Paul Coffey. And who wouldn't? Like, who does not want a coach that is like, hey man, if plays are there, you need to make plays. Right. He wants guys to feel confident. He wants guys to make plays. Obviously, there's a difference between, forcing it. But when plays are there, you need to make them. And as a hockey player, you kind of want that. And I can see him, jumping up. Well, did he not? I think there was a goal, actually. I think he was in on the forecheck.
Yeah.
That he created. But it's also not taking away from his defensive game, which is important, right? Because I think that, his bread and butter is going to be his defense, taking hits, giving hits, getting back to pucks quick and moving them and having that simplicity to his game, but still, trying to add other dimensions. So I like it. How it's going to play out, I think it's a nice option, for a coach to have, throughout his whole lineup, is he's got some pieces that he can work with, some movement, and because they're all, capable of playing in the lineup, that competition, I think, is important for a healthy lineup, for a healthy team. It's important for guys to know that, they have to prepare, they have to play a certain way. There's certain expectations. And if you don't, you're going to be replaced. I think, Wallman, I love the way, just watching him skate. You go to more morning skates than I do, but just watching him skate, the amount of ice that he can cover, how smooth he is, how well he moves the puck. He's a big body, and then you got Klingberg, with his experience and, as he continues to find his game. I don't know. It'll be, it's, I guess it's nice to have those moving pieces as a coach and have that depth.
Yeah. 3:15, Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley with you, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Say, hey guys, what's with Ekholm still not being 100%? Just what you said, Braden. It doesn't, when you've got a nagging injury, it just doesn't snap your finger and instantly heal right away. So I don't know exactly what I think there was, a little bit of wear and tear. And keep in mind though, because he was at the Four Nations, the head coach had said he was going to get rest days down the stretch for McDavid and Ekholm and Arvidsson because they hadn't been there, because they didn't get the break that the other guys got. So that might be part of it. But it was just a maintenance day today. Ekholm's played the last few games fine. And so I think they're just giving him as much rest as possible. Right? The Oilers are in a stretch now where you can get a little bit of rest because kind of come April 10th, unless you win a series in short order, there ain't much rest.
And the fact that they're winning too, right? I mean, they've played a couple good games here, and if they can continue to win, it's a lot easier giving rest and giving guys breaks when you got a team that's playing, with some confidence, and is building their game.
Quick break. When we return, I want to talk more on the Oilers, but we are going to talk goaltending and some interesting stats from Kevin Woodley. Coming up next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, hot, cold. Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, so the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy! Oh, yeah. Save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bashaw Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bashaw Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BashawConcrete.com.
The Gear Center, Hydra Steer, and Pat's Driveline are celebrating 50 years of trusted service. From automotive to heavy trucks and equipment, our certified technicians handle all drivetrain repairs, including transmissions, transfer cases, clutches, differentials, steering units, and drive shafts. We also offer a massive selection of top quality parts from the brands you trust, both online and in store. The Gear Center Group, 50 years strong, supporting Canadians who get the job done. 8 Alberta locations and online at gearcentergroup.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the Edmonton Oilers. Secure your spot inside Rogers Place for this year's Stanley Cup playoffs by becoming an Oilers full or half season seat holder for the 2025-26 season. Visit edmontonoilers.com/season seats to join the pre-sale list today.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We roll through Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley with you as it's time now to go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical, where you can take savings or take action on your savings. Did you know that you can earn building owners a refundable federal tax rebate up to 30% of a solar project's capital cost? It's called the ITC. Learn more at actionelectrical.net. As Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com joins us. Woodley, how you doing, my man?
Good, Jason. I'm good. How are you?
Hey, buddy. I'm excellent. Excellent. So lots to talk about in the goaltending world. I want to start with Colorado because in their last 10 starts, Wedgwood has 5 starts. Blackwood has 5 starts. Kind of odd. Are you seeing anything in their numbers that are suggesting maybe that Blackwood isn't the clear starter anymore there?
I don't know if I'd say not the clear starter. They've clearly gone into a bit of a job share, and the reality is Scott Wedgwood is playing at an unbelievable clip since coming off the Four Nations. Since they started job sharing, like his adjusted numbers, his adjusted save percentage is 4th in the NHL in that time. So you compare that to Mackenzie Blackwood, he's 27th in the league in that time, right around league average. So the bottom hasn't fallen out. Blackwood's not playing terribly. Wedgwood's on a heater, and Wedgwood is capable of this. He's a rhythm guy. Like, he's a guy that when he gets on a roll, you feed him starts, he will pile up some wins for you. I think if you take a look, because don't forget Wedgwood had some injury issues earlier this season and leading into the Four Nations break. I think if you take a look at the games played for Mackenzie Blackwood back to sort of right around the new year, say December 31st, up until the Four Nations break, again, with Wedgwood having some injuries, 17 starts in 39 days, including back-to-back heading into the Four Nations. Stop me if you've heard this before when it comes to the Colorado Avalanche and a number 1 goaltender, but it feels, in looking at the dip in his performance around then and the amount they were playing him, like the man just played the wheels off the guy.
Okay.
Kevin, what are your thoughts on when you talked about job sharing? Like, when you have, 2 goalies that are capable and you are sharing it, is there a point in the season that you feel like, one of them should be maybe more of a starter than the other? Or is job sharing just, the new NHL and the way, with having that depth in that position that you can go and be successful?
Yeah, this is a bit of a tough one, right? Like, Jason knows that I am like team tandem into the playoffs. I keep praying for a team to just go back and forth. I think you could make the argument that last year, another guy who's on a heater of late since getting healthy, not playing that much, is Freddie Anderson in Carolina. And we saw it last year. He comes off the blood clot. He's on an absolute tear down the stretch. They're careful with his minutes. Yeah. And then they get into the playoffs and they play him every day, and the performance drops off as the minutes pile up. And I get it. It's the playoffs. You want your number 1 guy in there. And Freddie's doing what he did in his healthy minutes this year, like he did last year, like just off the charts adjusted numbers. He's a great fit in Carolina, but at some point it's diminishing returns if you roll that guy every second night. So I think if you use it during the season, why not? And you have success with it, why not continue it? I understand that it's not an easy thing to do. I understand that it puts you in the spotlight as a head coach. If you are the brave one that decides to go back and forth between two, but if there isn't a huge noticeable difference in their performance, if there isn't a huge noticeable difference in the style of play, one that requires, say, the defenders to adjust how they're coming back because one handles the puck at such a different level than the other guy, or one kicks out, rebounds, and plays hyper aggressively. And so you got to be careful around your crease compared to the other. Like if there's not a ton of style differences and you have success playing both, I often wonder why there's this need to go away from it come the playoffs. And I think we've got more examples in recent years of teams maybe trending back towards we got to have a number one and frankly suffering because of it, because that guy's not ready to play every second night for 2 straight months.
Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine and NHL.com joins us. Kev, Demko is back. What should be realistic expectations of the Canucks desperately need some wins?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they don't have any margin for error. That loss against the Rangers on Saturday felt like it might have been the end of their season. They head into tonight's game 5 points back of the Blues, but they've got 2 games in hand. So all you can do is win the one in front of you, right? And that is tonight in New Jersey against old friend Jacob Markstrom, which I would say is probably a break for the Canucks because, speaking of since the Four Nations break, nobody has worse statistics relative to shot quality, like adjusted environment, than Jacob Markstrom. Coming off that injury, we've had goalies tell me this before, right? You can come back from an MCL in 6 weeks, but you don't actually get healthy for 6 months. So it's interesting that they're rolling Markstrom out. On the flip side, Demko, they've just overplayed and haven't really had a choice, but they've just overplayed Kevin Lankinen.
Yeah.
It's funny. I went into the season talking about any discussion around Canucks goaltending needed to take into account the Four Nations. And I thought Thatcher Demko would be a part of it. So you had to measure that into his minutes. Well, it turns out it's actually Kevin Lankinen who comes off the Four Nations. He gets a couple of games off early, but they played him, I think it's either 11 of the last 12 or 10 of the last 11. There's an illness in there now as well. Tough night as a goalie against the Rangers. You only give up 11 shots and 4 goals. I've talked before about the rhythm and the timing that comes with getting shots, and he didn't get any except good chances. But there was some decision-making in there in terms of how he played a couple of shots that from the outside, you look at it, it's like, oh, he didn't have a chance. And I look at it like, the way he played it really didn't give himself the best chance. And so when you get into fatigue moments, that's when you start to see decision-making mistakes. So we've seen that from Lankinen a little bit. He's had some great games. But since February 1st, his adjusted save percentage is in the bottom quarter of the league. So the play has fallen off as the minutes have piled up. And for Thatcher Demko, first time in 6 weeks, fair to expect him to be vintage Demko in his first game back with only one true team practice? Probably not. But I do think that he's going to find his form this time coming back a lot faster than in the previous 2. Obviously coming off the knee injury over the summer and missing all that time, and then the back injury that he sustained early January that cost him a couple of starts. I don't think he ever found his game in between those 2, so he didn't really have a platform to come back to. It was actually against the Oilers on January 17th, despite getting shellacked, that I saw signs of his game returning for the first time. Then he went on a heater. Then he got hurt the last game before the Four Nations. I think you can fairly expect to see that guy back sooner. Expecting it tonight might be, like I said, that might be too much to ask, but I don't think it's going to take weeks and weeks like it has the last couple of times he's returned. I think he found something in his game in terms of his movement, leading it with vision and being connected in all his movements that was missing earlier this season. And so for a team that has little hope right now, at least they get some back, not just because if Demko comes back and gives some good starts, but if you can get Lankinen some rest, hopefully you can get him back to where he was for the first 2 months of the season, which was posting elite numbers, saving your season, arguably. There's just most games he's ever played, add the Four Nations, condensed schedule. It's just a lot to ask for a guy who's never been in this role before.
Kevin, you were looking because you got Vasilevsky and Hellebuck, I think, are number 1 and 2 in raw save percentage. And you were jumping into some environment numbers, and you just text me to say, hey, I have a stat that you might be interested in of a guy who maybe surprises you. Who is it, and what's the stat?
Well, I mean, when I was looking up those two, because I wanted to see, like I said, the raw numbers are the raw numbers. They're number 1 and 2 at NHL.com in save percentage, but a lot of them is environment, right? They both had really strong environments. And I do think in that case, both Tampa and Winnipeg, the team trusts the goaltender behind them and knows that, hey, if we do our job, he'll do his. Like that. Sometimes the goaltender can help create or be a part of that environment.
Okay.
When I was looking it up, there's only one other goalie that's sort of a regular in the league, has played significant minutes, that has a higher expected save percentage than those two. And that's Calvin Pickard in Edmonton. Surprised me a little bit because we've talked about their defensive environment slipping this season relative to last. But and that's true overall, remains true. But his numbers, his expected save percentage is the highest in the league right now for goalies that have had, say, more than 200 shots this season, sort of trying to filter out the guys who've had a game here and a game there. He has the highest. So argument, I don't think it's fair to say it unequivocally, but you can make an argument, one of the easier, if not the easiest, based on the numbers alone, environments in the NHL this season. And so, I think when you see a lot of comparisons between the two goalies in Edmonton, I think you need to weight that a little bit.
So you're saying that Calvin Pickard's had one of the easiest environments to play in?
Based on expected save percentage. Now what that doesn't take into account doesn't mean he's had the easiest. Doesn't mean he's had tough starts. I'm guessing he gets a lot in the second half of back-to-backs. That's the job.
Right.
But at the end of the day, in terms of the shot quality he's faced, that's what the numbers tell us.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised when I saw it, to be honest, Jason.
So where does Skinner rank in that category compared? Like, does he face significantly more danger chances than Pickard does?
His expected save percentage is .891, which is right at league average in the NHL. And so if you're comparing the two based on environment, it's 13 points higher, easier for Calvin Pickard this year than it is Stuart Skinner. And so, again, it's not fair to make that unequivocally, like stats don't tell the whole story. And I'm fully aware of it. That one just jumped out at me because I was looking for the Vasilevsky-Hellebuck comparison, and there was only one other name on the list ahead of them. And I thought that was really interesting. We hear a lot bad teams. We talked about this with Gibson, right? Like teams that give up. Mackenzie Blackwood in San Jose. Just because you're on a bad team doesn't mean you face the toughest chances all the time. And so just because Calvin's got one of the easier environments by the numbers doesn't mean he's actually had an easy job this season. And I don't want that statement the two are not the same all the time. But again, it's an interesting number worth noting.
Kevin, where are you at with Dustin Wolf in the Calder race? Is there anything does Calgary have to get into the playoffs for him to have a real chance at winning this? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I'm biased, right? Like goalies should 100% win the Calder every year. And Dustin Wolf has been phenomenal. So just give it to him. I find it really difficult. Like we just talked about environment, right? Like, is it perfect in terms of measuring these different things when you have these numbers? No, but it adds context. So if I'm having that much trouble finding apples to apples comparisons amongst goaltenders and thinking that I need these numbers to sort of balance them out and it's not purely apples to oranges, imagine me trying to figure out who should get it, a goaltender, a defenseman, or a forward. I think what Lane Hutson's done in Montreal is remarkable for a first-year defender. Celebrini impresses me on and off the ice every time I have a chance to watch him or talk to him. And yet Dustin Wolf is having a season as a rookie in the NHL in a position with as much pressure as any. And I guess you could make the argument transitioning for Hutson as a defenseman is also difficult. Like Dustin Wolf's numbers aren't just Calder worthy. They're worth a note in the Vezina conversation. His goals saved above expected right now is just a hair under 17. The only three guys ahead of him in the league are Igor Shesterkin, Logan Thompson, and Philip Gustafson, who, by the way, is also on a heater and got Minnesota back on track of late. So when I look at that, and when I think about how little the Flames score and how much pressure that adds to a goaltender going into every game, knowing, I'm sorry, guys, one or two might be one or two too many. and he performs like that as a rookie, probably gives him the Calder in my very biased opinion. And like I said, makes him at least worthy of some votes and being part of the conversation for the Vezina.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll get a top 3, but just because the number of starts. But, Hellebuck's still going to win the
100%.
Vezina, I think, for sure. But Wolf has definitely had a great season. There's no doubt about that. You can't argue it. Outside of Hellebuck, if you had to pick today, Kev, who would be your top 3 finalists for the Vezina?
Ooh, it's a tough one. I would probably have Logan. Logan Thompson's in my mix. And again, you're right. The starts aren't the same. Gustafsson has quietly played himself back into the conversation, but it's probably those two. Igor Shesterkin is the other one. And it's funny because Igor's raw numbers, like I actually did a show recently in New York where they're like, what's wrong with Igor Shesterkin? And I'm like, nothing. The fact that he plays behind the worst defense in the league is probably what's wrong with Igor Shesterkin. When you look at the adjusted numbers, like when you compare, I talked about, the difference between Calvin and Stu and their expected environment, like Hellebuck at 903 and Shesterkin scrolling way down here to even find him on the list of expected. I think he was in the low 880s. Last time I looked, it was like a 17 or 18 point difference. So if you take Igor's raw numbers, and this is oversimplified math, but take Igor's raw numbers, the ones that are well down outside of the top of the NHL.com list, and add 18 points to it and tell me what you get. So I think he should be in that discussion. We can't see it because they can't defend or won't defend worth a lick. They're bottom, not just bottom third, bottom 3 in most defensive categories. But Igor Shesterkin has kept their season alive every bit as much as Dustin Wolf has kept the Calgary Flames alive.
One last one for you. What do you make of the fact that has the NHL said goalie fights are not allowed anymore, Kev? Are they putting a stop to this?
I'm trying to find out if there's a memo we missed, and I've sent some notes. But do you think it's just a coincidence that ever since we had the helmet, players can't take their helmets off the fight rule, we haven't had a goalie scrap? Like, look at how quickly, as soon as the helmet comes off and the goalies are thinking of tossing them, that the linesmen or the referees jump right in front of them. And there's been a couple examples. Like, listen, maybe this is an anomaly. Maybe it's such a rare thing that it just feels this way from the outside. But I'm pretty sure we haven't had goalies actually get to square off since that rule came in. And if you think about it, you sort of have to, as a goalie, take your helmet off to fight. You don't want your goaltender breaking a knuckle. I mean, the helmet itself is rounded, but the cage on the front has all kinds of sharp edges. So you can't be chucking knucks into a goalie mask. And if the rules say you can't take your helmet off to fight, then I just think that, and we know that those rules were based in more of a legality and liability concerns, in terms of the lawyers getting involved versus what the NHL, like tradition and things like that. I just think it can't be a coincidence that we haven't seen one since the 2. And maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, I'm trying to pin this down, but the way they jump in so quickly feels like at some point along the way, there was a unofficial notification that hey guys, this just doesn't happen anymore. Because if you think about it from a liability and legality standpoint and the way the helmet rule came about, it kind of makes sense that goalies just can't get involved because they can't do it with their helmets on to start.
Well, I was just food for thought because I've seen a few of them that get stopped lately. And I can tell you that Oiler fans, if you ask them what's the most memorable fight of the last 5 years, they will all say Mike Smith because you just don't see it very often. So
one, and I think, and that predates the helmet off rule, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it does. Yeah,
so
that was
it's kind of since then. I mean, you look at Binnington and Fleury, and everybody was willing to go that night. And as soon as the helmets came off, there was no chance it was happening. Like there was just
they just got to be smarter. They got to wait till another fight starts because then the linesman can't get in.
They gotta do, when you ever see it where they take a shot off the mask and the chins, the straps on the side of the chins pop off and then they automatically shake it off to get a whistle.
Yeah.
Instead of taking the helmet off, if they're gonna go, they just gotta pop those 2 flaps down. And then once they engage, give it the old hair toss and the helmet will come right off.
No, there you go. All right. We'll put that in your next presentation.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Thanks, man. We will talk to you next Monday.
Minus the hair toss.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. That's Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com. So, Gregor, am I hearing he's saying that the Oilers team defense in front of Pickard is some of the best in the league? So we still have a chance in the playoffs if we can play that way for Mike. Well, yeah. Right? Like Stuart Skinner's expected his league average. So when Skinner plays, now keep in mind, and Kevin was very smart in pointing it out, if you look at quality of opponents, when you play the lesser opponents, odds are you're not going to give up as many quality chances because they don't necessarily have guys who can create some of those chances. So there's that to it. But the Oilers have shown when they want to commit to team defense, which then makes your job even easier for goalies. Like, look, what did he just say? Who has some of the easiest numbers in the NHL? 2 of the best goalies. So if you give a good goalie a pretty good environment, now he's going to be a stalwart. But Shesterkin, give him a bad environment, and even one of the best goalies in the league isn't going to be able to salvage it. Which leads to my question: do you have to pay goalies that much? Because it really seems that the results are going to dictate on how much the environment is in front of them. Yeah. Doesn't work that way for offensive guys. Rarely is it like, well, hey, Brownie, if we have an offensive environment, our offensive guys play better.
But bringing it back to that goalie fight, I mean, did they really want to fight? Like there was I only watched a little bit of the highlights, right? But when I watched the highlights of 2 goalies kind of looking like they want to fight, and watching the guy from Colorado and Jack guy from Montreal, there's a guy that wants to fight. So if you really want to fight, I think you can fight. Right? You know what I mean? Like because lines, right. I don't know. Yeah. I know when I was in it that if there's a linesman or there's someone there, like you can get by him if you really want to fight. I just didn't get the impression when I watched those 2 goalies that they actually really wanted to fight.
That's fair.
Right? Because that guy, in if anyone's listening, watch that highlight of the guy in Colorado and how bad he wanted that Jack guy. Lots of guys were around, linesmen, different players, but he wanted to fight. And there's a difference there between, 2 guys that really wanted to and 2 guys that I'm not too sure how badly they wanted to fight. And I think Mike Smith is, an outcast. Like he's not your typical goalie. I'm assuming he looks like a guy,
but also the other, because there was the Bear Kachuk fight going on right at the one time, and then because I remember Darnell Nurse looking at Cam Talbot, no, go out, right? Like he wants you, right? So then he went out to center, he takes it off, and I think there was one ref, if my memory's correct, that was there. But so I do think part of it is if you have a scrum and if 2 guys really want to go, Brownie, you're right. You just get off to the side, and if you're quick enough and you really want to happen,
it happens. Because I just you're so locked in. Like when you want to fight.
But I do think the linesmen now, they've been instructed when guys have their helmet off, which is different when you played. If guys take their helmet off now, they die. Like they're in there way quicker. That was never there.
They
before.
might be, but I think you could
probably still get around it.
I think you can. I think when you really want to fight, you can get around it.
Okay, you're probably true on that. It would be hard to disagree. I think if guys really want, because even sometimes you'll see 2 guys. Now they have their helmets on, but they'll keep going and going. And finally, the linesman's like, all right, I'm getting out of here, you guys. Because I remember I've talked to the linesmen. They're like, sometimes just let him go. Otherwise, he's just going to keep building, right? It's going
to happen at some point in time. Right. I mean, that's like, I used to talk to different people, friends, how did you fight that guy? Like, what happened? Like, what did he say? And it's like, well, he didn't say anything. If you look at someone and you look him in the eyes, you can tell with just the look of someone and looking him in the eyes if they really want to fight. You don't have to say a whole lot.
Quick break. When we come back, we'll get to the 2-minute warning, and we'll hear from Knoblauch and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium 1-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas.
I'm going to tell you a story
cheese sticks, and desserts.
Today
It's easy
about a friend
to
of
order
mine.
all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each.
About a friend
So
of
the
mine.
next time your
We
friends
met.
come over to eat your
1978.
food, check out the Papa
He was
Pairings menu
underage.
to save.
We were in
Better
one of the best
ingredients,
sports
better
bars in the
pizza.
universe.
Papa John's.
The point after.
Nuge's Nuggets brought to you by
Southeast
Legacy
side of
Heating and
Edmonton.
Cooling. What nugget of heating and
Now-
cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent Hopkins, with someone like, I don't know, Zachary Martin.
Overtime, we
Thanks
created
for
a
suggesting,
professional
Nuge. Get
relationship,
no payments and no
which then
interest for 1 year on your new AC and
friendship.
furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I
Yet.
need lighting. I need a fire alarm.
He
I
was
need
so
data,
patient.
I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
The 2025 Ram 1500 Motor Trends Truck of the Year in St. Albert Dodge is knocking 10% off the price. That's right, 10% off every single Ram 1500 they have in stock, and over 100 are available. These are the 2025's new interior and drivetrain options with increased horsepower and better fuel economy. Other dealers save their best deals for last year's model. At St. Albert Dodge, they're taking 10% off the newest, hottest truck on the lot. That's how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Hey, I know you're new here, but when you talk to customers, make sure they know we carry multiple brands.
Okay. Hi there, this is Riverside Motorsports, Yamaha, Suzuki, KTM, Polaris, Gas, Husqvarna, Tibbersled, Stasic, Talaria, Climb, Thor, Alpine Stars, 509, Troy Lee Designs, and more. Sales, how can I help you?
Located on St. Albert Trail, rideriverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Your furnace can die in the blink of an eye, usually on the coldest night. So why take that chance this winter? Furnace Family, ATCO's newest home service company, can help. Not sure of your furnace's condition? We can check it for free with the purchase of a new furnace, giving you peace of mind and total comfort all winter long. Daikin offers lifetime warranty on their furnace heat exchangers. It could be the last furnace you ever buy. So call Furnace Family, Home Services by ATCO today. Jingle time.
Done right, day or night. FurnaceFamily.com.
I know you want to leave me, but I refuse to let you go. If I have to plead for your sympathy, I don't mind, cause you mean that much to me.
Yeah. Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Feeding a crowd, get the triple plate. 3 large specialty or 5 topping pizzas for only $54 when you use promo code 3play at papajohns.ca.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$3.50. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sean Brown, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. As always, thanks for listening. We got a lot of texts coming in, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our eWell inbox. Oiler news, no McDavid, no Draisaitl this week. Don't expect him to play. It sounds like, Draisaitl, probably the first to return amongst those two, listening, kind of reading between the lines from what Chris Knobloch had to say today. So don't expect them back. John Klingberg has been cleared. He is eligible to play, and could see him, Stetcher, and Emberson maybe each getting one game. The Oilers play 3 games in 4 nights. Those 3 guys are battling for the number 6 spot, so we'll see what happens on the back end. It's just Troy Stetcher's simply played very well. They didn't want to take him out of the lineup. People wondering about, is Emberson hurt? No, he's not hurt. He's fully healthy. He's been at practice every day. He's just been healthy scratch for a few games. So I would think Emberson's going to get I could see Stetcher playing Wednesday, Emberson Thursday, and Klingberg Saturday. I could see that happen. So we'll see. That's assuming everybody else stays healthy, of course. Ekholm didn't skate today. It's a maintenance day. The Oilers are going to have tomorrow off again, and then they'll come back to skate on Wednesday to get set to take on the Dallas Stars. That's a late game Wednesday night, 8:00 start on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So because I think it's a double-header night. So that's it's never great for us. Yeah, it's 8:00. Well, let's be real, closer to like 8:10, 8:15 on Wednesday night. And then they so it's a later start, and then you're going to Seattle. Seattle's going to be a tough second half of the back-to-back. Now, it is, a late game, and they do technically, I guess, gain an hour because it's, when it's the game's over, it's 11:00 here. It's only 10:00 there, yada, yada. Either way, it's not going to be ideal. And I don't know if you can make it that hour really makes much of a difference when you're traveling for one day, Brownie. I don't think it does.
No, it just reminds me of what a struggle it was to find to come down after preparing for a game, like to try and sleep. That was like my biggest struggle. And it's amazing the amount of time and preparation I prepared with to play 10 minutes, like it's not easy as an athlete when a game's over to just kind of decompress. And that's almost a skill in itself is, as you get older and more experience is, the ability to kind of decompress, let things go, because rest is important, right? There's nothing worse when you wake up in the morning feeling like you're obviously not rested, but it's a mental grind for these guys. So yeah, those back-to-back games and having these bodies in this competition is good.
Now let's get to the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change, no overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. Cam Tate, longtime journalist in town. Cam, of course, has a cerebral palsy, born with it, is in a wheelchair, and due to his disability, for the longest time, was unable to do radio until the wonders of technology allow Cam Tate's words to come to life in the 2-minute warning.
I'm going to tell you a story today about a friend of mine. We met 1978. He was underage. We were in one of the best sports bars in the universe, the Point After, southeast side of Edmonton. Now my friend was underage, right? So, as a welcome gift to being a brand new Edmontonian, I bought him a beer. I even offered to drive him home. Okay, sorry. Over time, we created a professional relationship, which then very seamlessly also created a pretty cool friendship. 6 years later, 1984, he drove me home. Convertible Mercedes-Benz. He's the only guy I've met that took a half hour. As in 30 minutes, you understand, to fit my wheelchair in the Benz's trunk. Yet, he was so patient. My friend did some great things for Edmonton. In fact, helped put Edmonton on the map, giving our city, our people, global notoriety. He left Edmonton, but when he returned, and he did so often, we always found time to visit, to laugh, and to celebrate our past and future accomplishments. Now, if I told him I was going to write this broadcasting bonanza extravaganza, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt he would try to talk me out of this, that it isn't a story, let alone an issue, but it eyes anyone who would lower themselves to smear. And I won't go into the details of the utter substance smeared on a cherished piece of not only civic and provincial, but national pride. If you heard of the story last week, you know what I'm talking about. someone decided to smear the statue's face of my friend. That statue of the south side of Rogers Place, Jasper Avenue. This is wrong on so many levels. Chances are we will never know who did this. But just know whoever did doesn't value tradition, history, greatness, nor honor, and that is a shame. I think my friend might agree. My friend, you ask? Wayne Gretzky, the 2-minute warning with Tater. Gregor Show, Monday, Friday, Sports 1440.
Yeah, you wonder what you can disagree with who Gretzky is, allegedly is friends with and what the level of friendship is, but to go to that extreme is so ridiculously disrespectful, not to mention gross. And like, I don't just even thought of smearing feces. Like, what are you thinking? Honestly, like we've gotten to the point now. Well, you know what? Gretzky did one thing that I don't like, so now he's a loser. No, you're the loser for doing it. Let's not confuse the issue here. Pretty straightforward. Who is the person who has crossed the line, who is much more of a loser in this situation?
Yeah, it's almost comical to think like how disgusting that is. Yeah, I was actually shocked when, you read that and you look at the photos, and that's not a representation of, Edmonton or the people, I don't think. I just think it's someone, it's just some guy or some person downtown.
Because here's the thing. If you're that upset, put your name on it, right? Like, let everybody know this is how upset I am, right? But you didn't. You're gutless. So it's unfortunate. And, I was actually there today. That obviously cleaned off statue, and that's great. And, you know what? I don't know. They'll probably never find the person who did it, but, at some point, somebody will brag to the wrong person about doing it. So we shall see. Hey, guys, has Emerson reached the games played needed to prevent UFA status? Oh, yeah, that was done quite a while ago, in fact. So, because Emerson has played he's played close to, I think he's played 65 games this year. So yeah, he's well above it now. So that was never going to be the issue. I think honestly, it's just lately they've liked how Troy Stetcher's played. It's just, it seems like it's longer, but it's really only a week that Emerson hasn't played. And so when he gets back in, he'll have to play well. Brownie, I know, Brownie, early in your career, you're in a situation like this, right? Where you play and then suddenly you're out for a few games. If you're Emerson, what's his approach when he gets back in?
Well, I think his approach when you're out is just making sure that you're putting in the work and, the details in your game. And, so that when that opportunity presents itself, you're ready physically and mentally. I think that, you touched on it. I think he's going to get in a game here, regardless of how well Stetcher plays, just because you probably don't want anyone sitting out for any length of time. Just this is where the mental side comes into it, right? I don't know, but I'm assuming, throughout his career, he's probably dealt with different challenges and adversity of being in and out of the lineup, so it's all in between your ears, and how you approach and making sure that you're not, maybe making a bigger deal than what it is and beating yourself up. But I think when you get into the lineup, you want to make sure that, you're doing the little things first, right? You do the little things, you start to get the feel of the pace, the timing, and some confidence in yourself. And as you start to do that, there's other areas of your game that will just naturally kind of happen. But, and I think for the defenseman coming out, if it's Stetcher, I know there was different times throughout my career where, I was in and out of the lineup, and sometimes I felt like I deserved to stay in the lineup. And those were a lot easier to be in a position where you're out when you feel like you're playing well and you're confident, because when you're putting in that extra work, and you feel like the coaches are down on you, or you're not, performing the way you should, it just makes, the sprints, the workouts, and everything that you do that much harder, right? Because it's a grind.
But now's
But when you're confident
Yeah.
and you're feeling good about yourself, right? You're not happy, but it's a lot easier, it's a lot easier to put in the work. Because mentally, really that's what this whole game is about, right? Is just how you look at things and how you handle it all.
Well, I think the big key for him is it's a short period in a long year where you can't be too worried about suddenly not playing. Like you have to look at it like, okay, I'm annoyed. I can use that fuel or use it as fuel to play better. But when he comes back in, like I think nowadays as a player, you go in, you be very honest. Okay, what do you want from me next game? Very simple. Keep it as short as you can. Get the answers. Okay, thanks. So then the next game, you do what they want. And then if you do it, and they take you out and said, well, wait a sec. You said this is what you want.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's probably the biggest strength that we hear about Paul Coffey, right? Is his communication and his ability, to let guys know exactly what they want. But,
yeah,
I remember being in Vancouver. I was excited getting traded, from New Jersey to Vancouver, and the opportunity to be on a team that was kind of in a playoff run with the Oilers down the stretch, and to come back to Canadian City and just to get, an opportunity. I felt like, things weren't quite, where I wanted them to be in New Jersey. So, when I got there, it was fun. It was exciting. They wind up picking up a couple other defensemen. They picked up, I think, Carney and Eric Weinrich. So I was like, okay, whatever, like I'm, a depth guy here. I'm going to have to grind it out a little bit. And I remember, because I had Crawford,
Mark,
I had Mark Crawford there, but I had his brother Lou coach me in junior.
Okay.
And their dad drafted me in junior. So I had a real connection with their family. So when I met him, it was, it was nice. And so I was excited, and I wasn't getting a lot. I was getting, maybe 5-6 minutes. And, usually when the game was out of hand or somebody was kind of running around, it was like, hey, go out there. Here's your time to play. Right. And I was like, oh, frustrated. Right. Cause it was the last year of my contract. And I was like, man, I got to show that I can play. Right. And, being in the lineup is an opportunity in itself, but just the situations that I was in, I was like, it's not working. And so we actually had some team meetings, and we had a day off in Nashville, and we had some meetings, and I was with, it was my turn, and I was talking to Mark, and, I think he thought it was going to go a lot quicker than what it did. And he's, saying, hey, everything you're doing is great. And, any questions or concerns? And I was like, yeah, I kind of feel like I'm not, getting an opportunity. And he was surprised by it, and enough to be like, hey, we're going to have another meeting later tonight. And so I went back to my room, and I remember talking to my dad, and because I talked to my dad after every game, and I was a little bit frustrated. And my dad's just like, hey man, it's the NHL. Like, just whatever you got to do to be in the NHL. And I was just like, yeah, but I don't feel good about my game. I don't feel good about myself. And, I think I'm going to, in the meeting, say how I feel. And he was like, you can't do that. Like, don't do that. You're going to ruin your opportunity. And I was like, I have to do it.
Okay.
So later in the evening, he called me. And so I go back up to his room, and I go to his room. It was like, so he had a chair in the middle, and he called all the assistant coaches, like Jack McElharty. There was 4 or 5 guys.
So he's trying to intimidate you.
I don't know if he was trying to intimidate me, but I knock on the door, and he's like, come on in. And I'm like, oh God, look at this setup. This isn't great. And so I sit down, and he's like, hey, Sean, so tell me how you think and how you feel. And I was like, really? Like, you're going to, you know how I feel. And these guys are obviously in here because you've told them how I felt.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm just telling you, Crow, like, I don't know if that's really an opportunity. And Jack stepped in and was like, well, Sean, like, are you saying that, if you don't get more ice time or more opportunity, you're not going to fight? And I was just like, well, basically, yeah. If you think I'm going to stay here for 3 or 4 minutes and go out and fight Darcy Hordachuk or somebody that's running around, I'm like, I'm not your guy, and you could put me in the stands if that's what if that's what you expect. I mean, because fighting, like,
yeah, it's got to be emotional, and
you fight so much better, right? When you're into it, and I can fight. If you're sitting on the bench, or sometimes a situation, calls for it, and you're not, it had nothing really to do with you. You fight, and you can, and it's not the worst thing, but you definitely fight a lot better when you're emotionally invested in the game.
I would think so.
And so after that conversation, I could tell like they're all kind of looking at me, and I'm like, well, this isn't really going in. That went over like a lead balloon. So I was like, all right, well, I guess the meeting's done. And then I left, and I remember calling my wife and my dad. I was like, oh, gee, like there's only so much time left here at the deadline, only so many games. I'm like, well, I think I'm probably done. But I was okay with it because I just, and Crawford, to his defense too, like he's like, hey, Sean, like you're not going to come in here and dictate how much ice you get. And I'm like, I totally get that. Like, I'm not trying to say I want 10 minutes, I want 15 or 20 minutes, but like what you're giving me is not an opportunity.
Right.
Right. And so I feel like if, give me an opportunity and I'll prove to you. So I went back the next day, not really knowing what to expect. And obviously I was out of the lineup, right? Like I did not play. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to work hard. I'm going to spend time, after practice. I'm going to spend time in the gym because that opportunity might come.
Sure.
Right. And so I worked out hard, grabbed the coaches, did as much as I could do to stay, in game shape without being in a game. And I just patiently waited. And actually we were playing Edmonton and we were in Vancouver, and Crawford skated by me and was like, hey, you're in. That's all he said. And I was like, thank God I've put in the work.
How many
here.
games did you sat out at that point?
I can't remember how many games I sat out.
Like 4, 5?
I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I got in the lineup, and I probably, I don't know, say maybe played maybe 10 minutes or whatever, and worked my way up to 15 minutes. At the end of the day, I worked my way up to playing with Matthias Olin, right, on the top pair. And so we're down the stretch with Edmonton during their playoff run when they beat us out. And we were playing San Jose, and he came up to me, and Matthias Olin was like, hey, you're going to play against Joe Thornton's line. What was that? Joe Thornton, Chichu, and Marlowe. And Marlowe. They were having a great year. And he was like, you guys are going to match up against them. And in the first period, probably within 6 or 7 minutes, I swear he came off the other side of the D-man, but Joe Thornton sprung Marlowe for a pass. He cut between both of us. Boom. We wind up losing the game, and we couldn't lose any games coming down at that point, so we were wind up being out of the lineup. But, I was pretty, I guess, to bring it back to, a defenseman or someone being in and out of the lineup, I was really thankful for the fact that I put in the extra work and I put in the extra time, not knowing if I would get it ever. But if I do get it, I want to make sure that I'm ready.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And it kind of worked out in a way. That I wind up going to Europe the next year, but it's not easy when you're out. But the one thing you learn to be, I guess, as a professional is just to continue to work.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's get to the comment. Quick update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. It is truck month on right now, baby. You can get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models. See more at gmccanada.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Late night in the NHL, 4 games on the schedule. Devils host the Canucks at 5:30. You also got the Jackets taking on the Islanders at 6. The Wild in Dallas, and at 7. Utah hosting the Detroit Red Wings. In the association, Raptors travel to Washington to meet the Wizards. Tip off in about an hour. Also, Lakers take on the Magic, Nets, and Mavs. Sixers battle the Pelicans. Nuggets host the Bulls. Bucks in the desert taking on the Suns, and the Kings up against the Celtics. And a women's March Madness. Advancing teams today: number 3 Oklahoma, number 1 Texas, and number 2 NC State. Right now, number 5 Alabama leading number 4 Maryland 41-39 at halftime. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll ask 5 questions, talk some Sens with Dean Brown, and get to another edition of the Oil Report. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
It's like time for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, hot, cold. Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, till the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy! Oh yeah! Save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team knows Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
It's after 4 o'clock. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you are having an awesome day. And if you're looking ahead to this week, Oilers Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, 3 games in 4 days, but it's only their 3 games in a 9-day span. So they got a lot of rest. They shouldn't be that fatigued going in. Definitely not the Dallas game. And even Seattle, it's 1 game, quick little jump. It's not a super big flight to Seattle. And it's not like the Kraken are a very good team, as we saw on Saturday night. The Oilers, they're really in it, being a race for home ice advantage. Catching Vegas, while possible, is to me unlikely when you consider you got to make up 5 points in a 12-game span. And Vegas is playing quite well. Vegas would have to go on a pretty big skid, because even if they just go 6-6, just 500, the Oilers got to go 9-3 to catch them. Because Vegas, while it's 5 points, it's actually 6 because they have more regulation wins. So they would own the tiebreaker. So it is, first place seems pretty much outside the window. So now you go down to second place. It's the Oilers and the Kings. They're tied in points. LA has played 1 fewer game. The Kings have 13 games left, 9 of them on home ice. They have the best home record in the NHL. Now, the Oilers and Kings do play each other twice in the final 7 games of the regular season. And that might be, potentially depending on what happens. So Edmonton, to me, this week becomes a huge week. They got to stay in the race for second place. I think they got to get at least 3 points, and realistically, probably 4, to give them a chance when the calendar turns to April. They come out. They start April on a 4-game road trip: Vegas, San Jose, LA, Anaheim. 2 good teams, 2 bad teams. They got to be in it. Now, maybe you'll get Draisaitl back for that first game on April 1st. And, McDavid seems to be a little bit longer than that. I'm hearing probably 2 weeks from the injury. So, he might not be back by the 1st. You never know. He can heal quick, but definitely not playing this week. So they'll have to have some guys step up. They just will. And they did it for a game. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who has 9 points down his last 4 games. He's got 3 games with 3 points after having none the whole season. So he's woken up at the right time. Jeff Skinner, 3 goals in his last 2 games. I thought he played really well. He's played the most minutes of the season the last 2 games. He could have had a few more points. Janmark just couldn't bury the chances. Same with Brown. So that line was pretty good. They'll stay together. Skinner, Janmark, and Brown. Nugent-Hopkins is going to play with Podkolzin and Arvidsson. Kapanen was skating today with Henrique and Hyman. So that looks like a change. Corey Perry with Jones and Derek Ryan. D pair is the top 4 is going to be Bouchard, Ekholm, Wallman, Nurse, Kulak, and then Troy Stetcher was skating there today, but John Klingberg is eligible to play. Now, they're not going to practice tomorrow, So, Stetcher played there today. I'm going to think Stetcher's going to play against Dallas. But then you might see Emberson, Seattle, Klingberg, Calgary, or Klingberg, Seattle, Emberson, Calgary. I think you might see all three of those guys get a game in this week for the Edmonton Oilers. Hey, Gregor, people have been clamoring for years for average goalies, and they got it. And you throw in their backup being on top of the league for expected. What are people complaining about? No. He's saying best environment for expected goals. Not that he's made the most save, just saying he has the highest expected goals against based on, the situation. That Edmonton, he's got a high expected save percentage, which is good, which means team defense has improved, right? Skinner's, he's faced league average unexpected. And you look at it like, you just look at the numbers of goaltenders just in the last week and how there has been a significant amount of goalies dropping across the league when it comes to save percentage, because there's just been a ton of goals on few chances. It's now there's a few guys. Hellebuck obviously is outside of that realm, but everybody else, there's been a lot of games where you saw it. The Rangers had 5 goals on, I guess 4 goals and 11 shots at the guy in goal. And you go down it. But suddenly, if you look at goalies, and we'll just go starters first. How about this? There are 6 starting goalies who have a save percentage. Oh no, let me get that right. That's wrong. Amongst starters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd say 6 starters above 9. Well, Wolf is a 911. So 7 starters above 911. Save percentage this year. Right? Like save percentage has changed a lot from what you were used to even a decade ago. Right? Lots of guys were 918, 920, 921. It used to be kind of the norm. You have 2 starters over 920 this year. Hellebuck's at 924, Vasilevsky's at 920. That's it. Like it's just, and what did Kevin Woodley say? Those 2 have the only goalie with kind of like a better environment to make saves is none other than Calvin Pickard. Now, Pickard to Skinner, he said it was a 13-point difference. So Skinner's at 891, which means Pickard's expected save is 904. And that's the best in the league. So, starting goaltenders, there's not a lot of them when you look at it who are above it. Even now that I'm looking at it, it's actually only 8 who are over. So I don't, because Stolarz, now is Stolarz a starter in Toronto? I don't think so. So I wouldn't include him. Jake Allen's obviously a backup. And so it's 8 above 910.
Gregor, it's tough too. Like, I mean, that's the nice thing about, these star players is their reliability, their consistency. I mean, the league, to win, your stars got to be your stars, and nothing against Pickard because he's done an unbelievable job when called upon, but it's completely different when you're expected to be the number one guy, is it not?
Well, I'm sure it is at times, but that's what goalies want, right? Like Stuart Skinner would probably be the first to tell you there's been a few goals this year he would like back 100%. Yeah. I don't think there's any argument on that. There's also some games where the Oilers' defensive structure would be a lot better. Because, and I did the math, like if Stuart Skinner, we're talking people like, I just want him to be 900. I'm like, okay, that's 5 goals over the course of the year. So if there was 5 goals you would like back, I would agree. I think that's a fair assessment, but then it's the number that you want. Like you would love it if Stuart Skinner was 915, but that's just, not overly realistic. There's not a lot of goalies who are 915. And because if you say on one hand that you don't think Stuart Skinner's that good, well, then you can't expect him to be 915, right? There's 5 starters in the league who are above 915.
Yeah.
Right. So if you say on one hand, you don't think he's that good, well, then you can't say, well, I want him to be 915 or even 910, because then you're saying he's a top 10 goalie. So you can't have it both ways. So what is he? And I think Skinner could play better at times. No question. I don't discount that for a sec. But like the team defense, there's been stretches where they need to play better.
For me, I don't put it, there's a little bit to blame and it to be spread around. But, I think when Stuart Skinner struggles, regardless of who's in there, you look at the way they play at different times and when they're struggling defensively, it's tough. And I know every goalie's got to make the save, and then he's got to make some saves that they're not necessarily expected to do. But I mean, I guess when I watch him, and that's why there's not a real concern, for me, is because there's areas in the Oilers game that needed to be sharper that just at different times. And as you come, it's hard to be perfect and it's hard to have your A game as a team and individually, but there's enough time here and you can see them working towards something that when the Oilers are playing, as a team and as a group of five and the way they defend and how they defend in the neutral zone and make it hard to get into the zone and, defend quick. I mean, Skinner's game, to me, he's more than capable of making the save. And when he gets, as confident as anyone else, and you can look, you look at Henrique, you look at, Skinner, confidence and can go a long way, whether you're a player or a goalie. So I've never seen it as being an issue. I think I think he's a good number one. And when they're playing as a whole, I think they're great. And I think Pickard is another great option so that, when they do stumble a little bit, he does give them, a breather and enough time where everything can kind of reset.
I look at the Oilers, and I think the challenge to me is going to be in the playoffs when Skinner allows a goal he doesn't like. Can he find the way to not let that snowball?
Has he not? Right. That's the biggest strength that I see, that his ability to kind of.
Well, no, because in the Vancouver series, it went bad and it went terrible. Then he sat out 2 games and he was good afterwards.
Yeah.
But I don't believe you can allow that to happen over 2 or 3 games. Vancouver couldn't score to save their life. Let's look at the Nashville series. They were terrible. They only won because Nashville had a worse offense than them, right? Against a team that you think is better, you won't get the opportunity to lose 2 games and come back and win. That's all I'm saying. So if he has a bad goal, and it's going to happen, I guarantee you he'll allow a goal that you don't like, that he doesn't like. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
The key is to then not let it become 2 or 3 goals in the same game. That's going to be so to me, that's all. I know Stuart Skinner's going to allow a goal he doesn't like. So is Connor Hellebuyck. So is Vasilevsky. Can he just keep it to 1 goal in the game and not let it spread out to 2 or 3 goals or 2 or 3 games? That's all the challenge is going to be. And I don't know the answer till I see it.
Well, I think, he has some experience now to draw from, right? Last year, that run, like going in on a run like that and experiencing, the playoffs and getting to Game 7, losing in Game 7, I think is only going to help, him and them as a whole. To me, I think I love his mental game. I love his approach. I love listening to him talk. He doesn't deflect and throughout. This hasn't been an easy season for him either, right? But he continues to grind. He continues to grow. I think is it not safe to say, like, he's probably, like you said, he's going to let in a goal. He's not going to be perfect. I'm assuming we're going to see Pickard at some point during the playoffs. That's going to have to come in for a game or, and kind of, it's just, that doesn't just happen with the Oilers. It happens throughout the league.
Quick break. We'll return. Lots of texts coming in. Also, we'll hear from Dean Brown. We'll get to the playoff conversation next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
We've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertips. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Kids getting free all season long. Can you believe it? Looking for an enjoyable and affordable family night out? The Spruce Grove Saints are excited to introduce their Kids Get In Free program. All kids 12 and under receive free admission for every Saints home game this season. Bring the entire family for action-packed junior hockey at a fraction of the cost. For more information, check out sgsaints.ca.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans.
Your partner in power just skated onto the ice. EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365. UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking. Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service. Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project. Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Do it, do it, do it. Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros. Do it, do it, do it. Do it at Hughes Car Wash.
Find us at hughescarwash.com.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Portions of this hour brought to you by RV Wars. RV Wars is back. Multiple dealers all battling for your business, clearing out the last remaining 2024's pre-tariff pricing. Don't miss out on an incredible deal. Visit rvwars.ca for details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.428, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Sean Brown, Connor Halley with you. Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. As we get to our playoff push, brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Truck month is on now. You can get 0% financing for up to 72 months on a 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. See more at gmccanada.ca. And speaking of Canada, you got Canadian teams in the mix. One of them that hasn't been in the playoffs for 7 years, but every day they are getting closer. Had another big win on the weekend and currently sit in the number one wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. They have 4 points up on the Montreal Canadiens. More importantly, they're 5 points up on the New York Rangers, who are currently in ninth place, and they have 2 games at hand. So the Ottawa Senators in a pretty good position to end their playoff drought and get back in. And there's a chance they could play the Maple Leafs in the first round. Don't tell me you don't want to see that one. And to discuss all things Senator, Dean Brown joins us once again. And Dean, the Senators, this was the year, hey, they wanted to take a step. They wanted to get in. And they're getting closer all the time. They made some significant moves in Steve Staios with Allmark, but I want to talk about the Cousin deal and what do you feel he has added since being acquired from Buffalo?
Well, I think what he's added is the obvious stuff, size. Cousins is bigger than Norris was, and somebody that plays a different kind of game, a more physical game. I think more than anything, Staios just wanted to change the room, and Cousins was a piece that was a different kind of piece than anything they really had at the center position, at least through the top 3. Shane Pinto is about almost the same size, but not quite. But they wanted to get bigger in their top 6, and they wanted to have just a different kind of player. And so he's fit in quite well, and they're pretty happy with what they got out of that deal.
Looking at the Sens, they had a little bit of a dip there where they allowed 11 goals in 2 games, but I think they bounced back after that. Dean, it's they got some veterans on that team. David Perron's obviously one, and he's been very vocal lately. Just talk about, hey, you know what? Like the adversity builds character, and we're learning some stuff. Brady Tkachuk, I think probably the experience of 4 Nations was massive for him, and even young Sanderson getting into that game would be huge. Kind of, what have you seen from this team? And and maybe a little bit more maturity, where in the past, if they'd hit a bump, it would turn into 5 or 6 bumps. And now it's only 1 or 2, and then they get back on track.
Well, I think it's definitely helped that there are other voices in the locker room other than just Claude Giroux as far as veterans go. And a guy like David Perron has certainly been a big help. He's been a bigger help since he's been back playing well, because he's had such a tough year with, problems off the ice with the birth and the health problems of their infant baby. And then he got injured. And so there's been a whole bunch of things that have really stalled him. And when he did come back and start playing, that's kind of like trying to, jump on a freight train as it's already rolling. It's pretty hard to get up to speed when everybody is already, at speed, and you're trying to catch up. So now his game is kind of the kind of game that they thought they were going to get when they got him. And it's because it's the reality is, and guys know this. Even if you're a veteran guy, it's pretty hard to have a voice in the locker room if you're not playing, or if you're not playing a lot, or if you're not playing well. So his voice has gotten louder because he's playing and playing well now. So that gives you a bigger voice on the team and takes some of the pressure off a guy like Claude Giroux when you have a couple of other veteran guys. And Mike Amadio, same thing. He's a quiet guy, but has a bit of a voice, and he's a guy that's been there on teams that are good and have won. But I think the biggest single thing is exactly what you just said, maturity, but maturity amongst their young core, where those guys have all, taken another step age-wise and have moved up a bit, and they're all at the same time getting a bit more mature at the same time. Because sometimes when you get those messages from veteran players, you're not old enough to truly understand what they're trying to tell you. And now I think the core of this team is truly old enough and experienced enough to understand what they've been told. And that allows you to take that next step.
Can you maybe talk about Travis Green and the job that he's done? I mean, I think he's a hard coach, but a fair coach. I think he communicates well. But, can you maybe talk a little bit about his coaching staff and the job that they've done to this point?
Well, if you just look at results, you'd have to say they've done a very good job, because they've gotten this team to play defense when all the other coaches haven't been able to do that. So I think one of the things with Travis, especially early on, is he made the players understand there are some things that are not negotiable, that there's going to be a baseline of what is required, and there's going to be a standard about, the way you have to play within the system that he has instituted. And if you're not willing to do that, you're just not going to see as much of the ice. And sometimes in this day and age with athletes, especially the high-end athletes, it's difficult to get that to work on your team, because we've seen on some teams there's some guys who kind of are outside the rules and outside the program, and they kind of play their game, and everybody else has to do the other stuff. And so I think that's one of the things that he's done a really good job selling, is that everybody plays the way they're supposed to. And I know that's a real generalized term, playing the way you're supposed to, but his message defensively isn't that much different from what Jacques Martin was teaching last year after he took over for the rest of the year from DJ Smith. And it's not terribly different from what DJ said, defensively. The difference is that, in this particular case, Travis Green made it pretty simple that you're not going to play if you don't. And if you want to be in the playoffs, this is what you have to do, and this is how you have to play. And the message has been received, and that's the biggest single reason why this team is now in a playoff position from past years when they haven't been. It's not complicated at all. Last year, this team tied with Philadelphia for the worst team save percentage in the NHL. Now, I don't know where they are today, but for most of this year, at least 75% of the season we've had so far, this team has been close to or a top 10 team in team save percentage. It's just that simple. They have now committed to, learned enough, and are implementing defensive hockey that has made them a better team. It's no hocus pocus. No, as Travis Green has said many times, you can make any system work. Your players just have to be able to buy into it and be able to execute it. But you try to develop a system that is going to work within the framework of the type of athletes you have. And so these guys, this team now is quite simply in a playoff spot, because now they understand that you have to be able to, and you must be able to defend. Otherwise, you just can't win. If you look over the last 33 years in the NHL, there has only been 1 year in the last 33 where a team that had a goals against average above 3 in the regular season got to the Stanley Cup final. And that was Edmonton when they played against Carolina. and that was kind of a fluky, weird year. But that's been the only time in the last 33 years in this league. So as much as the league has changed, what hasn't changed is if you can't defend, you don't get to win. It is just that simple. So figure out a way to defend. And the Senators have figured out a way to defend.
Now, Dean, if you look at their recent numbers, like Linus Ullmark in his last 12 starts since Four Nations, his numbers aren't great. 895 save percentage and a 3.41 goals against. So is there any concern that lately their goals against are up significantly?
I think there always is, but that's a moving target. And they look more at the team save percentage than the goalie save percentage, because it's obviously one is tied to the other, but it's a slightly different metric. And some of the goals against, if you're talking about situations where a game has gotten out of hand, you have, one bad game where you give up 6 goals, and all of a sudden it makes all the games that you gave up 3 goals look like they're the same. So they understand there's a metric in there, but it's not something generally that they're worried about. And I wouldn't put this as the worried factor, but the thing that everybody has to find out, and they're trying to do it now because he's basically playing all the games now with the exception of back-to-back games, is can he play this many games? If you look back over Linus's career, as a professional, both in this country and in Sweden, he's never played this many games in a season. Yeah. He's never been a guy that's played, this many games in a row. I think you can count on one hand the number of times in his career where he's played 3 games in a row. So they're finding out now, can he be on, this kind of a rotation? And that's probably the bigger question. And everybody needs to know, it's one of those things where you want to find out what that is before you get to the playoffs, because then if you're the starting goalie, then you are playing every game. That's the whole reason. So that's not so much it's this or it's that. They have to find out if it's this or it's that. So that's kind of more the impetus now rather than just those general numbers.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because he started 12 of their last 13 games. So clearly he's their number one guy. Obviously, they want to go with him, but and they wanted to get in. They do have a very favorable April schedule with every game at home except one. Has there been any talk? Like, do you see them kind of dialing him back a little bit? Right? I don't think they want him to start 11 of the next 12 games, because that means he'd go on a run where he's starting 23 out of 25 games, right? Like at some point they're going to have to go with Forsberg a bit, no?
Yes, yeah, for sure. And I think that's all the plan. Like, this week it's the Father's trip. So they have Buffalo, and then 2 days later they have Detroit. And you want both goaltenders to play in front of their fathers. So this is a great opportunity to have both goaltenders play. Okay. And with whatever back-to-backs they have now between now and the end of the season, I think they have 3. I think they have 3 back-to-backs between now and the end of the season. So Forsberg would play the second game there. So I think the schedule and the way things work out, they don't have to do anything to manufacture that kind of separation. It's going to basically handle itself. And that's kind of a rotation I think they've planned on, and the kind of rotation that they're comfortable with. But again, if they feel like he's getting tired or breaking down, then you can always change things. But I think they look at that as the right separation. Like one of these 2 games this week, and the next 3 back-to-backs, the second game is going to go to Forsberg, and that's as much separation as they think the goalie should need or want.
How has Zetterlund fit in since the trade?
He's fit in well as well. He's amongst the guys. Guys seem to like him. As far as his play goes, just the last game, when they changed the lines going into the New Jersey game because they played so poorly in the game before that, he moved up from the 4th line. But really, he hasn't had a great deal of opportunities so far to play with some of the better players on the team, mostly because the team was playing so well. You didn't want to demote somebody else. So he started right wing on the 4th line, not so much because they didn't think he was going to be somebody that was able to play top 6 minutes on this team. It's just the team was playing so well, and the guys in those top 6 roles are playing so well. You didn't want to punish them by moving them down in the lineup. And so he was just being patient and moved up, like I said, in the last game when they switched the lines around after the loss to Colorado, just to try and have a different look because you're not winning. And so he got some top 6 time, and he came as advertised. He's a puck possession guy. He's not a tall guy, but he's an incredibly strong guy. So good on the boards, good at keeping pucks in the zone, good at creating possession for his teammates, good on the cycle. And, that's been kind of what the resume has said about him, and that's kind of what they got out of him so far when he's played further up in the lineup.
Can you maybe talk a little bit about Brady Tkachuk? We all know the passion and, the old school type of player he is, but what is it like seeing him day to day? And what do you like about his leadership?
He's just naturally a very good leader because he's naturally such an open guy. He's one of those guys that you can tell immediately that his father was an NHL player. All the things that, somebody who spent their entire adult life playing in the NHL would pass on to their son. His son has, Keith, I think with both the boys have done a very good job of making them understand not just what it takes to be in the NHL, but how to be an NHL player, how you have to carry yourself, how you have to treat your teammates. Brady Tkachuk, even, he's an old man now. What is he, 24 now or something like that? But he's always been that kind of guy because that's the way his father told him that's how you are as an NHL teammate and now as a captain. He's one of those guys when somebody gets traded to Ottawa, the first guy who texts him is Brady Tkachuk. And if there's somebody who's coming into town, the first guy at the airport to pick him up and take him out to dinner and meet some of the teammates is Brady Tkachuk. He's the guy when you need to go find something. He's the guy who calls a couple of people and finds out where should I take this guy to find this or that. He's very good at doing stuff like that, and all the small things that are what captains do that are not essential or not even important, but it's just part of the expectation. When it's time for the team's Halloween party, all the arrangements have been made. He's set up everything up. It's all that housekeeping stuff that captains do. It's not just the raw speeches. But probably the biggest single thing for him as a captain is he is every day, every single day, the first guy on the ice for practice. He is every day the guy who's doing extra work. So it's one of those things where if you're going to be on this team, you have to do an awful lot to outwork the captain. It's easy to make speeches and it's easy to be, the big guy in the dressing room. But if guys are going to follow you, if you're going to lead guys, they have to be willing to follow. And guys are going to follow a guy that is first on the ice, that does the work, that puts in the work and treats his teammates the right way. And that means you're the odd man out if you don't treat your teammates the right way. So it has become a harder working team than I think a lot of young teams can be. And number one, and number two, it has become a very, very tight room. I've been doing this for 33 years. There's never been a team that I've been around in Ottawa that is as tight together as these guys. And a huge part of that reason is Brady, that he demands guys commit to each other, and they do.
I look at their schedule the remainder of the way, and they got, I think, 10 of their remaining games against teams who aren't currently in the playoff spot, Dean. They really control their destiny, and their next 5 games, Buffalo twice, and they're not just going to roll over, right? It's not like you just show up at the rink and win, but their schedule here definitely favors for them to kind of lock this up sooner than later, and then maybe they can rest Allmark for a game or two down the stretch.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? You're absolutely right. I forget that website, but there's a website that evaluates in any sport, every sport, I think, but evaluates based on a set of criteria. And they have some computer metric or model that they use, and it weighs strength of schedule. I think the Senators have the second, according to that, they have the second easiest schedule down the stretch in the NHL. So yeah, it's a big advantage. They have not. When they played the Chicago game 2 weeks ago, and Chicago's only one time zone away from Ottawa, but when they played in Chicago, that was the last game they would play this year out of the Eastern time zone. Like, that's a huge benefit, not having to do, well, you guys know, like, it's time zone travel is a killer for players, and the Western guys have to do literally twice as much of it as the Eastern guys do. So that's a big advantage. And it's a bigger one for Ottawa when the predominance of their games are at home in the last stretch, and they don't have to leave their time zone. It's a huge benefit. But again, in this league, saw it yesterday where, Winnipeg is sitting there waiting for Buffalo to roll into town, going to crush them, last place team in the East. Let's just, all of a sudden James Reimer has the game of his life, and, Buffalo beats Winnipeg. No one had that on their FanDuel card, but that happened. So So yeah, Ottawa has a really, really good schedule down the stretch. Really advantageous. Lots of home games, and they're a good home ice team. So all those things are in their favor. But it doesn't matter if you don't do it. You have to do it. You got to beat people. And even when teams aren't in the playoffs, guys are playing for jobs, they're playing for contracts, they're playing for pride, they're playing for a whole bunch of things. And they know you're playing for something, and they want to frustrate you. Their happiness is drawn from your depression. So they want to make you angry about what your situation is, and being just as angry as they are not getting into the playoffs. So if you think you're going to walk into easy touch games down the stretch, it just means you're dumb, because it happens all the time in this league. Bad teams beat good teams all the time in this league. So you got to start fresh, you got to start hard, and you got to put people away early and then move on. And if you can't do that, then those are the teams that lose playoff spots down the stretch.
Yeah. Dean, great stuff, man. It should be a great atmosphere to see playoff hockey in Ottawa again for the first time in, I think it's since 18. So,
2017. Yeah. It'll be good. It'll be good if they get there. I'll be digging that for sure.
Awesome, Dean. Thanks for your time, man.
Anytime, boys.
That's Dean Brown joining us, the voice of the Sens. And the Sens, actually, if you go to Tankathon, the Sens have the easiest schedule the rest of the way. They have 13 games left, but they only have 3. Tampa, Florida, Carolina, against teams that are, in the playoffs. The rest, Columbus 3 times, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Philly, Buffalo, Chicago. So definitely a favorite. Oiler fans, in case you're wondering, the Oilers, now, obviously this changes. Their quality of opposition, 5th easiest in the league. But obviously when you take Draisaitl and McDavid out of the lineup, it makes it a little bit harder to play. But the Oilers have 3 games against the Sharks. They got the Ducks. They got the Kraken, the Flames. Now, the Blues are a playoff team. So, that won't necessarily be that easy of a game. We'll see. Quick break. We'll come back. 5 questions on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off, presented by Christensen Communities Limited, hits the ice April 25th to 27th. This Edmonton-based tournament pairs hockey fans with some of their favorites from the NHL Alumni Association for a fun-filled weekend, featuring a champions luncheon and tournament. Teams are already fundraising in the community, enabling the Alzheimer's Society of Alberta and Northwest Territories to continue providing help for today through free education programs and support services, and hope for tomorrow through research. For more information or to learn how you can get involved, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
RV Wars hits the north side March 27th to 30th at the Old Lowe's building. Go RV, Vision RV, and Arcan RV have joined forces for RV Wars. Take advantage of pre-tariff pricing on travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, and more. The last of the 2024 models are being cleared out. Make no payments for 6 months OAC. Now is the time to buy with special discounted finance rates. Free admission with a donation to the food bank. RV Wars this weekend on the north side. 9603 165 Avenue. Visit rvwars.ca.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Truck Month is on now at GMC, and it's one of the best times to get behind the wheel. Right now, get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models with a 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen and available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8 engine with 470 horsepower. Plus, the most trailering assistance technologies in its class. Sierra has some serious hauling power and is the only off-road ready HD. Truck Month is on now. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Vision Credit Union. We've been around a long time. In fact, we've been serving rural Alberta communities for 75 years. We launched in 1950 with $128, 21 members, and a mission to help our communities. It's still our mission today. That's why we return 75% of Vision's profits to members, offer full-service banking in underserved rural communities, and prioritize contributing to charitable causes in our hometowns. We're here for good. VisionCU.ca.
I knew that I wouldn't.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$4.50. Welcome back, Gregor. Sean Brown, Connor Halley. Hope you're having a lovely Monday. If you missed it, yes, McDavid, Draisaitl, do not expect them in the 3 games this week. And it sounds like the Draisaitl probably has the best chance to return first out of those 2. Maybe next Tuesday against Vegas. Maybe. I'm going to say it for sure. So we'll see. Trent Frederick. If you listen to Stan Bowman 2 more weeks, that would put him to not until April 5th, potentially against LA. So we shall see. LA does have a lot of home games. They got Colorado, Edmonton twice, Winnipeg, Toronto. Those are their top teams. And, they got Utah and Calgary who are battling it out. They won't be easy games, but man, the Kings are good. Like the best points percentage at home in the NHL right now. So now I know playoffs are a totally new story, but Edmonton has won the last 3 years. They had home ice advantage every year. They finished 5 points ahead of the Kings every year. Right? 104 to 99 were the point totals in 2022 and 2024. And then it was 109 to 104 in 2023. Now, I don't care if the series is in Edmonton or in LA to start. I would still view the Oilers as the favorite in that series because you got McDavid and Draisaitl, and you get Trent Frederick in the lineup. If all of a sudden Kane's in your lineup, even if Kane's on my 4th line, that just gives you like look at the Oilers forwards. And we said this. And we got to get to 5 questions in a second, but they played against Seattle. You could take 4 forwards out of that lineup and you could put in McDavid, Draisaitl, Frederick, and Kane. That improves your team a lot.
Yeah. Anytime you have the 2 best players, you gotta, I like their chances for sure.
I definitely. Very true. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick and their sleep experts at The Brick Mattress Store. If you're having trouble sleeping, you wake up more tired than you are when you went to bed. Well, check out, get a new mattress, The Brick Mattress Store.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys, question number 1. Outside of Ryan Nugent and Hopkins, give me an Oiler that impressed you the most in their win on Saturday.
It's hard to narrow it down to just one, but maybe obviously Jeff Skinner, being a skilled guy, having to step up and put up some points. He's had a couple great games now. It's nice to see him take advantage of the opportunity. Henrique, obviously with a nice power play goal. It's nice to see him step up in an elevated role. I mean, Connor Brown, getting the assist, him knocking that puck out of the air on the Skinner goal. Like what a play that was. So it's hard to pick one. I guess if I would say maybe Skinner, right? He seems to be the guy that's kind of been in and out of the lineup, and it's been a little bit harder for him to get a little, some traction. So good on him.
And what's people don't notice again, the Nurse-Wallman pair has kind of become a little bit of the facto number 1 pairing, right? They played 23 minutes each in that game. It was only 19 for Bouchard and Ekholm. And so I'm actually going to go, I'm going to go with I won't go with the defenseman, but I'm going to go with, I thought Matthias Janmark actually had a really strong game for the Oilers. If he could have finished, that line would have been killing it. That line was killing it. Skinner set him up for some great plays. So I'll go with Janmark, even though he didn't score, because he played very well he played season high 17 minutes for him.
Question number 2. I threw this question out during Fantasy Frenzy. If you had the magical healing powers and you could bring back one of these two duos, McDavid and Frederick or Draisaitl and Kane, who would you insert into the lineup on Wednesday?
Oh my God. Well, I guess I would go McDavid and Frederick because Frederick hasn't been out as long, and I'm curious to see where he fits into the order.
I'll go Draisaitl and Kane. I'm curious to see your Kane and how he comes back. I think he can be. I think he'll be more of an could be more of an impactful player. And I want to see Draisaitl. I want to see Draisaitl get his 50. He's going to be probably the only guy in the NHL to get 50 this year, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Question number 3. Of the teams in the fight for a wild card spot, either conference in the NHL, which do you think would be most likely to pull off the first round upset?
I'll go with the Rangers, just because I think they got Shesterkin. I think they got good goaltending. They got good players. I like that Miller trade. It's always, that those teams that are coming down the stretch that are fighting for their lives that, Oiler fans seen for years. When you get in that mindset and you've been in it for the last 15, 20 games, right? And that just continues to roll in the playoffs. So they're hard to play against.
Yeah, I'm not sure I love any of their chances, but if I had to pick one, I would go. I guess I'll go with the Blues. Red hot. And they're playing a Winnipeg team. I don't know why. Like, I actually want the Jets to win, but I don't love their defense core 1 through 6.
For the Jets?
Yeah, I don't love their 1 through 60. So I think they're maybe I still think they'll win that series, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Blues won 2 games.
I want to see how Hellebuck handles, the pressure of, this team being a good regular season team and not quite being able, to do anything in the playoffs.
Question number 4. Boba Shit says he believes the Jays have the talent to make a run this year, as he should say. Where do you think they'll finish in a competitive AL East?
Well, I guess it depends on whether they're healthy and what's his name? Scherzer with his thumb, good pitcher. But I would like to think, a lot of the success comes down to pitching. So if he can stay healthy, they signed this guy and picked him up knowing that he had a thumb issue. And it seems like to me, and I don't know a lot about the Blue Jays, but it seems like an injury where they're not 100% sure if they even know how to handle it. Am I correct on that?
Well, yeah, I don't know about that. The Jays to me, I'm going to say a few things about. I think the Jays ultimately are going to the Vladdy Guerrero contract, because if Vladdy Guerrero doesn't have a contract before the trade deadline, they might trade him, and so then they lower their chances. So, honestly, Cons, I think they'll finish 3rd in the AL East.
All right, final question for you guys. It was on this day in 2005 that The Office debuted on NBC. So in honor of the classic show, what is your favorite episode?
Go ahead, Greg.
Oh my God. Babe.
That's a tough question for me. I can truly say that I have never watched an episode
of The Office.
Never.
Oh,
I was looking at I seen the email and I looked it up and what's his name? The Steve Carell.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't find him funny. I don't think I've watched enough movies.
Well, dude, you obviously haven't watched The Office. I'm telling you.
Are you serious?
Yes. Watch Michael Scott, his character in The Office is so hilariously funny with the mix of some days he's very empathetic and then other days he's just so clueless. And there's so many. I love the humor is not allowed today because nobody's allowed to have a sense of humor, it seems, anymore right now. You get offended by everything. But that show, because like any show, season 1 isn't as good.
Yeah.
It builds up. It is phenomenal. All of the characters, there's so many of them that are just hilarious. Like Dwight Schrute. Oh my God. Classic. So Steve Carell in that movie, in that show is Michael Scott. There's no way you won't find him funny.
So season 1 though?
But no, you have to watch it to get to know the characters, but you have to build. It's like an investment. You got to invest your time to get through season 1. But
I don't know if I can invest the whole
season 1 has its moments though too.
Yeah, it got better. Like maybe even the first 5 or 6 episodes is what I'm saying. But all I know, have you ever laughed about the line, "That's what she said"?
No.
You've never heard that joke when someone says "That's what she said"?
No.
What? No one's ever said that joke to you?
No.
Oh my God. Do you live in a bubble?
I don't know.
Oh, my
Apparently.
goodness. So that was his line. That started in that show. It's so like a well-timed, that's what she said, is unbelievable.
No, I don't know if I can give it a chance if I have to
It's
watch
20
5 episodes.
No,
then
they're
it's going
22
to be
minutes.
all right.
They're 22-minute episodes.
All right.
Right? Trust me. Well, I know your wife has a better sense of humor, so she'll watch it. Get her to watch it for you, and then you'll watch it. But no, that show was funny. As for a greatest episode, Cons, see, to me, it's hard if I like. Well, one of the ones that I cringed at the most was when when him and Jan are hosting the party.
Dinner party. Great episode.
It's so funny, but so cringy at times too. That makes it funny. But also the episode where he had to go back on his promise for the graduates.
Oh, Scott's Tots. That's a tough one.
That's a real tough one. But my favorite intro, even though it's not the episode, because I don't even know what episode it came with, but when Jim dresses up as Dwight and mimics him, that is my favorite intro of the show. God, it's funny. What about you?
Yeah, Scott's Tots would be up there. The injury, I believe, when he steps on the George Foreman grill is probably one of my favorite episodes, though. And, like when he dresses up as Dwight is a good opening, but also when Dwight does the fire drill.
Oh,
and I think Lisa Stanley having the heart attack.
Yes.
That might be my favorite, like, cold open.
Oh, yeah.
Great show.
Yeah, like Brownie, the great part about the Office sometimes was their openings, which had nothing to do with the episode, but it was just like 2 minutes of great comedy. Oh,
I'll have to maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah, like I'm telling you, I will guarantee you that if you commit to The Office, there's no chance you won't be like, okay, that show's pretty funny. And Michael Scott, Steve Carell, like, you know what's funny? I used to think Steve Martin, I never really liked him till Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And then I thought he was unbelievably funny in that show.
Maybe I'll give it a shot here.
Yeah,
We'll see.
You might have to. You and Wendy need something to bond over. Your kids could watch The Office with you and they would laugh.
We're almost empty nesters.
I know.
They're not really around anymore.
Yeah, well,
so.
this might get you some street cred to get back in to have your kids want to hang out with you for a bit.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to watch The Office together? What? Mom and Dad are cool for a night? All right, we'll do it.
True.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just getting the old text from Wendy. Pick up some food. It's like, I just had a handful of cookies. I'm good.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Now, a handful. You ate the whole box, I think. Like, honestly.
Still a few left.
Cons, how many cookies are left there? It's 5?
Yeah, 5 are left.
Well, dude, I think there's 22 to start.
You can tell which ones I liked.
Like
the vanilla.
Oh my!
And not the chocolate.
I think you ate the whole side of the vanilla, the whole sleeve of Girl Guide cookies. How many are left? 2.
There's enough. There's enough to share.
Oh, geez.
That'd be rude if I ate them all.
Hey, have you ever watched my son asked me this the other day. Have you ever watched The Price is Right?
Oh, yeah.
The evening Price is Right? Like
Oh, no. Like the new one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it's the evening one. Anyway, there's a guy on there that's kind of like a doppelganger for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I got to get his name. Oh.
Like the new one? Who's the guy that does it now? Drew?
Oh, Drew Carey. Yeah. So Drew Carey's doing it. And I don't, they told me the name of the guy. I can't remember, unfortunately, but they've always wanted me to ask you if you've seen it. Because
I haven't.
He looks a lot like you. You just got that
right.
fake smile that you like to put on.
Fake smile.
Yeah. See, like right now. See, there you go. You're just doing it.
Hey.
Yeah. It's good. But, because now that your hair, let's see your hair. How's it growing out? Like once it grows out a little bit.
That was actually a button. I cut it.
See, it's getting close.
It's cut it. So.
You cut it again?
No, but I
Oh.
just like
Well,
kind of.
not-
My wife was like, "Don't cut it."
It looks pretty similar right now.
Really?
Yeah. Anybody out there who watches knows. So I got to know the guys.
I just looked it up. It's got to be Devin.
Yes. What's his first name?
Devin Goda.
Yes, that's
former
right.
NFL player.
What?
It's a compliment, Brownie.
He played NFL?
Yeah, it was a receiver.
Like how many games he played?
Well, practice squad.
Okay,
he went to Slippery. Rock.
No, I hate that. You can't say you're an NFL player if you didn't play a regular season game.
Really?
You think you're an NHL player if you went to training camp?
Yeah, but he's on the practice roster, right?
He didn't play a game. That's like being
But
in
if
the
you're on the
American League.
practice,
No, they
if
don't
you're
have-
in the NFL and you're on the practice roster, you're with them.
Did you play a game?
I like that though. Did you play a game?
Yeah. Did you play a game?
Yeah. Well,
Like, let's say you
Yeah.
get called up and you're on the roster and you don't play a game. Are you on there? Like when you look up Hockey DB, it doesn't say healthy scratch, 200 games played. Then you're in the NHL. You have to play a game. You can't say former NFL player if you didn't play a game.
He could have grinded it out, I think, but he's just really good looking and said, "Nah." Taking the model
doesn't
route.
matter.
Oh,
To
thanks
me,
there,
I
Connor.
don't
He's really
think-
good looking.
I don't
He's a
think
good
you-
looking guy.
I don't think you can say anything in any league to say you were in the league, or even if you play an exhibition game. No, you got to play a regular season game to be an NFL player, to be an MLB player, to be an NBA player, to be, I don't care, to be a PWHL player. You got to play in the regular season to be a player.
Yeah.
Or the playoffs, of course.
I mean, their rosters are quite big too,
Yeah,
right?
doesn't matter. You're not an NFL player if you didn't play it. All you got to do is look up your stats. Well, how many games you play? None. How many games?
Yeah.
How many games I played in the NHL? None. So Bob, who went to training camp, guess what? We still didn't play in the
We're
NHL.
even.
Now, he might have got closer, but he didn't play in a
That's
game.
what I think hockey DB just kind of, for hockey dads that, back in the day would talk about where they played and I'm better than you. Like hockey DB just kind of changed that. That was like the lie detector. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't disagree with that. You've either played or I just thought the NFL and their roster is so big. How many guys actually on an NFL roster don't play through a whole season? Do those guys, Connor, is there guys that stay on the roster and don't play?
There will be
season?
some, yeah. Like you'd be on the practice roster. Then they have the on game days, you're down to your 52-man roster. And then I think they have some healthy scratches there. So less than that play. Yeah.
Brownie, have yourself a great day. We'll talk to you next Monday.
Awesome. Good seeing you guys.
Let's get to the Command Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. Stop in at Booster Juice right now. Try some of their new food options. Guacamole chicken panini, guacamole black bean wrap, and egg and chipotle black bean wrap. Visit your nearest Booster Juice to treat your taste buds today.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Late night on the ice, you've got the Canucks and Devils. Islanders host the Jackets. Wild take on the Stars in Utah. Hosting the Detroit Red Wings and the Association Raptors in Washington to meet the Wizards. That gets going shortly. Also the Timberwolves, Pacers, Magic, Lakers, Mavs take on the Nets, Pelicans up against the Sixers, and the Bulls in Denver to take on the Nuggets. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet, and Mike Wilner will join us to talk little Toronto Blue Jays. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Edmonton sports fans stay informed with Sports 1440. Stream us. Listen to us on the AM dial. However you consume this radio station, thanks for listening.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's.
Booster Juice
It
right
looks
now.
like a regular
Try
chicken
some.
sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
People are always curious about what GS Construction does. They know it's something to do with construction because it's in our name. But our work at GS Construction isn't just about the projects we do. It's about people. This season, you'll see GS Construction improving underground infrastructure in the places we call home. So we're looking for crew members to work with motivated and friendly team members. Sound like you? If you want to join a team that cares about the community, your community, visit gsconstruction.ca and apply today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor. Sherbrooke is a house of curiosities, a mom and pop, a curated experience that is equal parts wine tastings and 2-4s for May long. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh my God. So many laughs during that break from people. The greatest Office episode when Kevin drops the chili. Oh, it is unreal, right? Like he was so proud of it. Oh, man. Classic. And then what about Jane's replacement? I can never remember her name. And of course, they start dating, him and or her and Michael. And at first, when she thought that Kevin was a little bit slow,
Ollie Flax. Toby's replacement.
Toby's replacement. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Michael was. I had to hate her for a bit.
Oh my God. There's so honestly, there's so many good episodes of The Office, just like Seinfeld. Like there's lots of really good episodes, man. Really good episodes. So, hey guys, if McDavid and Drai settle out the next 3, that leaves 9 games. If whatever he's dealing with lasts 2 or 3 more, would you just shut him down for the year, put him on LTR, and bring Kane back so we can get in some games? From Vinny. No. No offense to Vander Kane, but Connor McDavid, I'm not just sitting him out unless I know for sure he can't play. If Connor McDavid can play the final 4 or 5 regular season games, then I'm playing him there. So that would be my answer to that. The Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50, Gregor50, and you get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to the Spec Report now, brought to you by GS Construction. As they continue to roll on, things are heating up, and they're hiring. If you want to work for a fantastic company with great benefits and more, go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction. As we welcome in Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. And Spec, it'll be another week without McDavid and Draisaitl. They're not going to play in the 3 games this week. And the Oilers, hey, they're in a dogfight. Like trying to catch Vegas right now seems very unlikely. It's just a matter of can they fend off LA and not have to start on the road in the playoffs.
Turns out LA is the best home ice team in the league. Did anybody know that till this week? So, like, I'll be honest with you. I don't know. You start picking your opponent in the playoffs, and it always comes back to bite you. Would you rather be first? Sure. Then you get St. Louis. St. Louis, the hottest team since the 4 Nations, or one of the hottest teams anyway. Travel's not great. You got LA. I don't care. Do you open on the road? The Oilers are a better team when they open on the road. They're a worse team when they open at home. I'm falling into this thing, Jay. I've stopped predicting or looking or checking. Just call me when it starts and let's watch whoever the Oilers get. How about that?
Yeah, well, the Oilers, when they start at home, well, it doesn't happen. It only happens against LA, and they've won every series. So, right? So they might not win. They don't win the opening game. That's fair. But
yeah, they don't win the opening game. So they give away home ice advantage in the first game of the series more often than not. That's why I'm saying go on the road, win 1 at 2, and come home as the team that, like, being the road team only matters when it goes 7. Now, I know they had a couple series go 7 last year, but most series don't go 7, right?
Yeah, well, I guess last year 2 out of 4 did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, it doesn't. But I just think it's extra flights every time. And all I know is when you look at the Stanley Cup final, the last 2 times the Oilers have been in the Stanley Cup final, you know what the record is in games 1, 2, and 7? 0-6. So I'd say it matters. The deeper you go is when it matters more. Opening round and against LA, I would agree. To me, I would still pick Edmonton against LA, whether they're at home or on the road to start the series, because I think Edmonton, they'll be comfortable there. LA's a good team for sure, but Edmonton, we'll see. Kind of, is Kane healthy? That's a little bit of a wild card, right? Like Trent Frederick, like Edmonton. What their regular season record will be, I'm not going to say it means nothing, but you add Frederick and Kane to a roster that was basically there all year long. That's 2 significant additions to a team. So that's a pretty big upgrade, regardless of what your regular season record was.
Yeah, I sure would like to see Frederick get some games in, because he won't need that much time to get up to speed. He's had a full season under his belt.
Yeah.
Kane is going to be tough. Like, nursing a guy into your lineup in games where every shift matters and every period matters, it's going to be hard. I'm not saying they're not going to try, and I'm not saying that a good Evander Kane doesn't make you better, because for sure he does. But it's a real chore to try to nurse that player into your lineup come playoff time, man. I'll tell you what, like my bar is set very low for Evander Kane.
I would agree.
Yeah, my bar is set very low, and I would say that we don't have a chance of seeing the Evander Kane that everyone knows can help you that much until at least the third round. That's what I'm saying.
To me, my bar is low simply to the fact that if he hits it out of the park, then it's a win. I don't go into the playoffs thinking, hey, Evander Kane's going to be a difference maker. There's a chance he could be, but I'm going to plan, and I would build my roster at the trade deadline, everything to be like, I expect Evander Kane to be a fourth line player to start. And if he ends up being more than that, well, that is a massive win, is how I would do it. Because, Kane's pretty good athlete, always has been. He's pretty stubborn player. He's never lacking in confidence. It's the one thing, like, Kane will bring an attitude when he plays. There's no doubt about that. It's just, and the fact that he's healthy and he's feeling better, I think mentally that might help him. I think the first round might be his best round, but then the fatigue factor might kick in.
There's always that. Guys who come back from long injuries give you a couple great games, and then they kind of go away for a long time. The point I'm making, and you're making the same point, is don't get your hopes up here. It's a big mountain to not play for almost a calendar year and then jump into playoff hockey, the hardest hockey ever. And don't forget, if he goes out there and is giving up chances, or guys are scoring on him, the coach isn't going to play him.
Yeah,
right.
That's
so I'm not telling you he can't do it. I'm telling you the odds are long.
Yeah, for him to be an impactful guy, that's fair. Yeah. Now, if he's just a depth guy who can play at 9-10 minutes a night, I look at some of the depth guys around the league and I'd say, hey, Evander Kane, 9 or 10 minutes a night, for a lot of other guys, he can be a one-shot shooter. He might only get you 1 or 2 shots a game. He'd have a higher chance of scoring when you look at his production. Like I outlined it today, Spec, in my article. The Oilers, if I include Kane, they'll have 7 of the top 50 active goal scorers in the NHL on their roster. David, Draisaitl, Kane, Perry, Skinner, Henry, Nuge, and Hopkins. I'm not even including Hyman, because he's not in the top 50 all time, but he's in the top 10 the last few seasons. So they've got some offense. And it comes down again to, if the Oilers can play team defense like they did for much of the playoffs last year, they'll go far.
Well, and how are important playoff games are generally won. I always say, like, if we're talking about a 3-2 league and we're talking about big playoff games, you get a goal from your top line, you get a goal from your power play, and then you get a goal from someone among your bottom 3 lines and all your defensemen. And that's how you get to 3 most nights in the tough playoff games. And you're right. Like, I'm writing a piece on Jeff Skinner right now. And even if Skinner lines up in your bottom 6, eventually that chance comes to someone. In game 7, who got a breakaway for you? It was Matthias Janmark, and he buried it, which, I know people who only watch him this season are going to think that's hard to believe, but that's how it went. I've covered a lot of playoff games, man, where the game-winning goal pool, like some scribe, everybody knows, when it's a Stanley Cup final, all those sports writers have a pool up there. We all throw in 10 or 20 bucks, and you draw a name out of a hat, and you end up pulling out a name like Travis Moen, and you go, oh my God, I got Travis Moen, or I got Janmark, or I got Vinny Desharnais. How am I going to win this pool? And you would be amazed at how many nights the guy holding the 4th liner wins the pool. So here's the long-winded point I'm making. If in your bottom 6, you got a guy like Perry that has wicked good hands still and knows how to score. You got a guy like Kane who can score. You got a guy like Skinner, who we saw the other night. I don't even think he looked at the net when he scored that goal from the slot. If those are the guys in your bottom 6 that a really important chance falls to their stick, I don't mind that. Frankly, I don't mind that one bit.
Looking at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins play the last 4 games, moving to center, he's got 9 points. He's got 3 games with 3 points, 2 shorthanded goals. He talked about how, he just feels more comfortable at center. Not that he doesn't want to play wing, but he feels more comfortable there. So let's say when they get McDavid and Draisaitl back, And Knobloch, he'd mentioned a while back, hey, I want to try Nugent Hopkins at center longer. And I don't know if he knew that his top two centers were going to get hurt or not. But anyway, he's clearly his top center now. Would you keep Nugent Hopkins at center on your third line in the playoffs, or do you move him back to your top line wing?
No, I keep him at center. And for my money, Trent Frederick stepping into the left wing spot that Ryan Nugent Hopkins used to occupy, right? For my money, when Trent Frederick plays, I'm not telling you that he's a first line player, and I'm not telling you they acquired him to play with McDavid, but at this moment, he's a top 6 left winger for sure in my mind. And if RNH vacates a hole in your top 6 on the left wing, who's going to take it? It's going to be Trent Frederick in my mind. So yeah, and Jeff Skinner's sitting around looking pretty good too, saying, hey, I could play left wing in that spot. So absolutely, Jay, my third line winger is Ryan Nugent Hopkins, and probably Adam Henrique didn't want to hear that a whole bunch because that makes him a fourth line center. But oh boy, I don't think you're bad when your third and fourth line center are Ryan Nugent Hopkins and Adam Henrique.
Yeah, or does Adam Henrique move to that left wing spot and they play somebody else? Because it's like I looked at the Oilers lineup on Saturday night, and I'm like, okay, well, you and everybody saw that. Well, not everybody, but anybody who was watching the game saw McDavid, Draisaitl, Kane, and Frederick in the dressing room welcoming the guys off the ice after the win. So then you look and say, wow, there's 4 forwards who have to come out of the lineup. Okay, Derek Ryan, right? Max Jones, right? Those are the 2 obvious ones. Then I'm like, well, probably Kasperi Kapanen, I would think, although he intrigues you a lot, but he probably comes out. So that still leaves one other forward who has to come out of the lineup. Yeah. I don't know, is it Corey Perry? Is it Jeff Skinner? Is it Matthias Janmark? Connor Brown, assuming everybody's healthy. Like, they got some tough decisions. It's a good problem when everybody's healthy. And, I could see like that fourth line, what? If Adam Henrique here gets on a little bit of a scoring spree because he's getting more ice time, I wouldn't be opposed to having Henrique as a left winger and keep Nugent Hopkins as a center ice. It's another option.
Yeah. No, I don't mind that at all. So we agree on Nugent Hopkins as a centerman, and we're not agreeing on where you're going to put Henrique if that happens. And I guess the coaching staff will figure that out. Last I checked, they don't phone you and they don't phone me when they're making that call. But I feel like Henrique's come playoff time, I want to play him more than as a fourth line center. Is that fair? I want him to have a little more ice time. Fourth line center doesn't get a lot of ice time if there's no penalties in the game. So, I guess we're going to figure it out. Podkolzin does some stuff. He kills penalties. He's not very offensive, but he gives you a little bit of, I don't want to take him out of my lineup, but he's kind of the next guy in line here. If the scenario you just outlined, where we're looking for one more guy to take out of the lineup, I would throw Podkolzin's name in that bucket too. So listen, tough choices, man. And that's because you got probably a pretty good team here.
Yeah, I agree. What about the defense, Beck? It wasn't lost on me again. Nurse and Wallman playing, 3 minutes a night more than Ekholm and Bouchard. You think that's going to continue down the stretch?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Bouchard, I didn't study I didn't see the shift by shift. I don't know if Bouchard's ice time went down after he gave up that puck on the one goal, or if it was just the whole game type thing. I'm not positive on that. The Oilers only got, how many power plays they get that game? Well, they got 2 goals.
Yeah, they had 5. They were 2 for 5.
5. So, you know what? If they have 5 power plays and Bouchard's ice time's less than the second pairing, that tells you he's not getting the even strength minutes that he's used to getting. And that could be Paul Coffey saying, that could be Paul Coffey saying something. I'm not sure. The one that gets me too is, how long are you going to sit Emberson out here? Well, you play Stetcher every night. I like Stetcher and I like his game, and maybe he's winning the battle to be the 6th defenseman come playoff time. But I think you got to get Emberson some games here before we go down the playoff road, don't we?
Spec, here's my prediction for that.
Okay, let's hear it.
Stetcher plays Wednesday. Emberson plays Thursday. Klingberg, who's deemed healthy, will play Saturday. I think those 3 are all going to get a game potentially this week. Okay. And then there's going to be a little bit of a battle there. I can tell you that the only reason Emberson's out is because Stetcher has played very well in the minutes that he's played. Yeah. And I think they've liked him. He's skating the puck out of the zone. He's not just, just dumping it out. And, I think that's something to say, hey, Mr. Emberson, when you can, transport the puck a little bit.
Yeah, and he's got the tools to do it. But listen, one thing that Emberson can't have on Stetcher is experience. Stetcher is a far more experienced hockey player than Emberson. And that at this time of year, when you're a defenseman and it's playoff time, boy, that's a big edge in the, if that check mark's falling on your side, that's a big check mark right now.
Yeah. Awesome, Spec. Have yourself a good one, buddy. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Have a great day.
Sounds good, Jay.
It's Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. When we come back, there's talk of a contract. Did you hear Stan Bowman, by the way? Pretty confident. As I've said this since all summer. Connor McDavid is re-signing in Edmonton. I thought it brought up what if the Oilers lose? McDavid won't re-sign. Don't fret for a minute about that stuff. McDavid will be signing an extension in Edmonton. We'll come back. We'll talk about extensions and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off, presented by Christensen Communities Limited, hits the ice April 25th to 27th, pairing hockey fans with some of their favorite players from the NHL Alumni Association for a fun-filled weekend in support of the Alzheimer's Society of Alberta and Northwest Territories. Friday features a Champions Luncheon, followed by the teams hitting the ice on Saturday and Sunday in a friendly hockey tournament at Terwilliger Rec Center. To purchase a table to the Champions Luncheon or to learn more about how you can get involved in the tournament, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca for more info.
RV Wars hits the north side March 27th to 30th at the Old Lowe's building. Go RV, Vision RV, and Arcan RV have joined forces for RV Wars. Take advantage of pre-tariff pricing on travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, and more. The last of the 2024 models are being cleared out. Make no payments for 6 months OAC. Now is the time to buy with special discounted finance rates. Free admission with a donation to the food bank. RV Wars this weekend on the north side. 9603 165 Avenue. Visit rvwars.ca.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features, including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Get ready, hockey fans. The Alberta U18 Tier 1 non-body contact provincials are coming to Edmonton's Meadows Arena March 27th to 30th. Watch top teams from Edmonton and Calgary face off in a showdown for the provincial championship. Thanks to the City of Edmonton Sport Event Hosting Program and our major sponsors, Wayne Lee Peak Performance Expert, MVP Sport Team Photos, and Sports 1440. Plus, thanks to Chalix Construction, Friesen Brothers, and GS Construction for their support. See you at the rink.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Gregor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X is always presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca, where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the lovely province at PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to our baseball report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year. You can get your furnace or think ahead. Cool summer days. LegacyHeating.ca. As Major League Baseball officially did begin in the regular season, but of course the rest of the league back in North America is going to have the first pitch going out this week on Thursday. You got the Jays playing. Mike Wilner from the Toronto Star, longtime reporter, analyst for the Jays, joins us. And Mike, I want to start. What do you think the odds are? Any chance that the Jays and Guerrero would announce an extension before opening day?
That is not the question I thought you were going to ask. I would say the odds are infinitesimal. I do not think there is a chance that happens.
Do you think there's a chance he signs during the season at all?
Not much of one. Okay. No. It seemed from talking to Mark Shapiro and John Schneider last week that the Blue Jays strategy is to let Vlad go to free agency, and hopefully from their side, he doesn't get the offers that he thinks he's going to get, and he comes crawling back to them and says, "I'll take your money."
What are
Not a great strategy, if you ask me.
No, well, like, what are the Jays offering?
Apparently, they're offering somewhere between $400 and $450 million over a 14-year contract, and Vlad wants $500.
$500 for 14 years.
Yeah.
Good money if you can get it, Mike. Good money if you can get it. What do you make of? So let's just focus on the field. What do you make of this Jays roster today? How competitive or non-competitive do you think they're going to be, assuming that they don't have any major injuries?
Yeah, I mean, that's not exactly a safe assumption, right? Every team winds up with major injuries at some point, but you can assume that everyone will, so it sort of puts you on a level playing field. But I think they're going to be fine. They're not going to be spectacular by any means. This isn't a 100-win team, but they could finish anywhere from first to fifth in the American League East. They could win anywhere from 75 to 95 games. There's a real wide range of possibility from them. But I think when all is said and done, they're going to wind up very similar to what they were in 2023 and 2024, which is a team that's in the playoff race all year long. I mean, you can even get rid of 24 there. They're going to be a team that will be very much the same as where they were from 21 to 23.
Okay.
And that it's in the playoff race all year long, squeak into the playoffs, and this time hopefully win a game.
I don't know if you've ever looked at history of spring training, if it means anything or not, but the Jays had a good spring training. Does that mean anything? Did you see anything in spring training that makes you say, okay, you know what? Like, I think this is repeatable?
Nope. But you never do. I mean, and you can fool yourself into thinking that, right? The Jays did. They won the golden grapefruit, if such a thing exists. They had the best record.
I didn't even know that. All right. Okay.
Wonderful. It's better to win than not. Better to hit than not hit. All that stuff for sure is wonderful, but doesn't mean anything. There have been teams that have had 6 wins in spring training and have gone on to win the World Series. There have been teams that won 70% of their spring training games and finished in last place. It is 1,000% fool's gold. There is quite literally nothing. The only thing that matters in spring training is getting through it healthy, and the Blue Jays did a pretty good job of that.
What about Varsho? Where's he at health-wise?
He's probably a couple of weeks away, maybe 3, from being able to throw in games. I mean, we've seen that he could hit. He shared the team lead in home runs this spring. He had a very good spring offensively, but his shoulder's just not good enough for him to be able to throw the ball in the outfield yet. And the Blue Jays don't want to have him out there with a caddy, right? Like send the second baseman out there for him to flip the ball to and stuff like that. And really, he's not the kind of guy you would want to be your DH.
Right.
So he stays on the injured list, and I'm confident he'll be back before the end of April.
Okay. When you look at, like the Varsho injury, who do you see as the main center fielder to start?
That's a really good question. I think it's going to be Nathan Lucas for the most part and Alan Roden a little bit.
Okay.
But I think mostly Nathan Lucas. And at the end of games that they are ahead in and have a chance to win, Miles Straw will come in and play defense for a couple innings.
Okay. Just because he's the best defensive fielder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Max Scherzer, what's up with the thumb?
Who knows? I mean, I talked to him 3 times. I talked to him twice and to John Schneider about him a few times over the course of the last week. And, a week ago today, our discussion with Scherzer left me incredibly pessimistic about his thumb and his season. And I walked away from that conversation thinking he's not going to pitch until June, if at all. And then he goes out and he just deals against an opening day lineup of the Minnesota Twins on Saturday. And I talked to him after that, and he was still like, I don't know. Well, we'll see tomorrow. I'm not sure how this – I have a feeling this is going to be the deal all year with Max Scherzer. He's going to go out. He's going to throw great. He's going to come back and say, we'll see how my thumb feels tomorrow. I have no confidence that I'll be able to make my next start. So it looks like they're going to ride him until the thumb explodes and he can't pitch anymore. And he seems to be okay with that. So I think Max Scherzer is a start by start. He really is all season long. He's just going to be start by start, and we'll see.
What is the issue with the thumb? What's the problem?
There are 2 joints in his thumb that he puts a lot of pressure on every time he pitches.
Okay.
And it hurts. But he says when he's warmed up and when he's in the game, it doesn't hurt at all. And the test is the next day, how he feels the next day. It's so far so good. But what he's worried about is what happened to him in 2023 and last year, where it started in the thumb and then it crept up his arm to, for whether it's compensating for the pain or whatever, that he wound up with a shoulder injury. And he was only able to make 9 starts last year. And a lot of that was because of the shoulder injury.
Okay. Mike Wilner joins us. Mike, is there anybody you see breaking camp where you say, hey, I think this guy could surprise people and have a very impactful year for the Jays?
I mean, it depends, I guess, on what's a surprise. Like, I think Bo Bichette's going to have a fantastic year, and that might be a surprise to a lot of people given the season he had last year, but not given his whole career up to that point. I'm fully behind a Bo Bichette big year.
Okay.
No question about that.
What makes you so confident in Bo's? Now, obviously, he's put up big numbers beforehand, and last year he was clearly playing banged up. Is it just simply is that he's healthy?
Yep. I mean, he's healthy. He's motivated. I believe he learned a lot from last year and the second half of 2023 as far as being healthy and taking care of his body, and also, the trials and tribulations and how to react when things aren't going well and how to stay in the right headspace. So this guy is an incredibly talented hitter. I mean, there've only been 2 players who led the American League in hits for at least 3 years in a row in the last 60 years. And when he got hurt in August of 23, he was leading the league in hits for the 3rd year in a row. He really is the engine of that team, as much as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is their best hitter, but he's proven year after year that when he's healthy, he's elite.
No, that's very true. And you look at what's your expectations for George Springer this season?
No idea. Honestly, no idea. I was in I think it was Friday's game. I was in the press box in Friday's game in Dunedin when Springer came up for the first time and he took a 3-1 pitch for a strike that he didn't think was a strike, but wasn't sure enough to challenge. And then he took a 3-2 pitch for a strike, same thing. And he walked back to the dugout and someone in the press box just whispered, retire. and then the next time up he hit a 3-run homer. So, I genuinely don't know. He looked so bad this spring, but he said all the right things and he seems to be in the right headspace. The proof is going to be on the field. And look, if he has a miserable April, which he generally does, the leash is going to be really short.
Okay.
And what we know that we're not going to see George Springer in the leadoff spot unless he's earned it. And I don't think that's going to happen at all. But he's gonna have to hit. If he's hitting 120 on May 3rd, he's only going to be playing a game or two a week.
Yeah. What about Ernie Clement, who had a really good spring training, right? Like he was really good. What kind of numbers can you expect from him offensively? And then again, how was his defensive play in your eyes?
Well, I mean, he was nominated for a Gold Glove last year. He said he's a terrific defender on the left side of the infield, and that's where he's going to be used. He'll play a lot of third, and he'll be Bo Bichette's primary backup at shortstop, and that you're getting excellent defense out of Ernie Clement. But I don't know how much he's gonna hit. He's a really strong contact hitter, not a lot of power, even though he got into double digits in home runs last year. But Will Wagner has shown them that he can play third base, and it wouldn't surprise me if Will Wagner started at third against most right-handed pitchers, which means starting most of the time. And Ernie be sort of a weak side platoon utility guy.
Okay. And was there any surprise for you in Barger? Is he only down because they just wanted the depth at center field position, or what? What happened there?
Well, part of it, yeah. Part of it is Barshow being hurt, right? A part of it is Alan Roden having the spring that he had. And part of it is that Addison Barger still needs to work on some things. I mean, he had a great spring, but he didn't have as good a spring as Alan Roden had. And they basically do the same things, especially now that Will Wagner has shown he can play third. So Barger's ability to play third base doesn't mean as much.
Okay.
But he's not one of the top three outfielders. So he's going to have to really go down and hit some more. And then we'll see.
Mike, great rundown, man. We appreciate it. Do you have a breakout team in MLB? Is there a team that's going to surprise people overall this year? Because we kind of know the top three teams, I think, in both the NL and the AL. Is there any surprise team for you that you quite like?
It's interesting. I think Oakland's going to be, well, I can't call them Oakland anymore. I think the A's are going to be better than a lot of people think. I don't think enough to really make too much noise, but as far as the playoffs are concerned, but I don't think they're going to be terrible. And it'll be really interesting to see in that AAA stadium in the thin air there how things do.
Okay.
But, I've sort of been immersed in Blue Jays. I haven't really taken a look around very much. I don't know that there's going to be, there's definitely going to be a team that jumps up and shocks and is better than anybody thinks they're going to be. I don't know who that is.
Awesome stuff, Mike. We appreciate it, man. It's going to be an interesting season, and we got a lot of Tex Jays fans just hoping that they get Vladdy. But man, you're straight. You're what you said about them. Wow, we'll just let them go to free agency. And I'm like, all it takes is one team. That's a very that to me seems like such a loser mentality. So we'll see how it plays out.
It's a bad gamble. It's a bad gamble.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it plays out. Yeah, hopefully all those Blue Jay fans out there are listening to Deep Left Field. A new episode came out today, and opening day is going to have another new episode, and it's going to be phenomenal.
Awesome, buddy. We'll listen to the pod. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thank you.
There you go. That's Mike Willen. Check out his pod, Deep Left Field, for all you diehard Jays fans. 5:43. We'll come back, wrap things up. Gregor Halley with you on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Metal Supermarkets is locally owned, locally operated. They love this city and serving its people. In fact, they're as Edmontonian as dodging potholes in the spring. It requires a steady hand and extreme focus. Ironically, the same skills for cutting metal to your precise measurements. Now, can someone please give me a yee-haw? Thank you, sir. The local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com. Dang.
Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what?
Dang.
They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference.
Yes.
FittedGolf.ca.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 Triple E. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
At Cross Mitsubishi, you can rest easy. You're getting a great deal this month. So hurry in now. Lease the 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander for as low as $31,898. That's $7,000 off. Finance for 36 months with 0% available. You'll also enjoy an available $2,000 trade rebate, plus an available $1,000 loyalty rebate. Don't forget a 10-year, 160,000-kilometer warranty. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
No matter where your potential customers live, no matter what they watch, read, or listen to, you need a marketing plan that connects with them. Let the marketing experts at Stingray Media Solutions create a turnkey advertising strategy for your business, including radio and TV and out-of-home advertising, social and search ads, plus the creative and production. Find out the most cost-effective ways to reach your target audience and grow your business. Get started now at stingraymediasolutions.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.547. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X and Instagram. Thanks as always for listening. The big stories today, of course, in Edmonton. No Draisaitl, no McDavid for this week. 3 games. So I don't expect them to play in any of those games. After that, who knows? So it looks like an April return at some point for McDavid and Draisaitl. Matthias Ekholm did not skate today. Another maintenance day for him. He's clearly not 100%, but he's playing. A little bit of rest here for the Oilers. They didn't skate yesterday. They skated today, longer practice. They'll have tomorrow as a day off. Then they play Wednesday, play Thursday. They're not going to skate on Friday. Then they play Saturday, and then they'll have Sunday off, probably practice Monday. Then they go to Vegas, and then they play every second day. So it's not a bad road trip, actually, because it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and the following Monday. And then you're into the final stretch, right? Like that LA game's pretty big on April 5th. Against the Kings to kind of see where they're at. Who knows? They got to win. I think they probably got to win 2 out of 3 games this week. If you're thinking that a home ice advantage is still something, and like I said, I don't think it's a must-have for the Edmonton Oilers. It would just be a nice benefit, I would say, for the Edmonton Oilers. That's kind of how I would view it for them. So we'll see where it goes from here. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, I don't know how you don't trade Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero. Obviously, they both don't want to be here and won't agree on a contract. Worst front office in baseball if they're going to let Vlad walk for nothing from Dylan. Well, I don't even know if it's a matter of Guerrero doesn't want to be there. He wants $500 million over 14 years, which is still pretty big money. Make no mistake about it. But when you look at that deal and you go, okay, 500, divided 500 mil divided by 14 years, we're talking like 35 mil a year, which is, I know, a ridiculous amount of money. Don't get me wrong. But look at what they offered Juan Soto, right? Look at what they offered Ohtani. I could see how Guerrero would be like, hey, this is what I want. So the Jays offered him between 4 and so if they offered him, the 450 mil, which meant they were 50 mil off over 14 years, you're kind of like, why can't you bridge the gap? I know it's an insane amount of money. I understand that, but you're gonna let him walk for nothing over $3.5 million? Really? Okay. Who are you gonna replace him with? Are you gonna find someone close to Vladdy Guerrero? Like, I hope Guerrero goes out and just has a monster year. A monster year. Because then he'll probably get even more. And then what are the Jays going to get? Like, Bichette's a pretty good player too. So, like, you can let those guys walk, great. And replace them with what? Like, outside of Soto, Cons, like, who are the big MLB free agent signings? This summer where you're like, oh, big name difference. Like, I don't get it. So, I don't know, man. I think it's like Juan Soto. Then there was Max Fried, right? Because if you look at big contracts outside of Juan Soto, Max Fried had the second longest deal, I think, at 8 years. Is that right? I think he did. Right? Willie Adams, right? He was an average of that. So, like, Juan Soto was so much higher than everybody else, right? It was a ridiculous amount, right? His AAV is 51. Then it drops down to like 27 mil for the next guy. And, well, Corbin Burns. How good is Corbin Burns in your eyes? Right? Anthony Santander. Now, he had the fifth highest AAV. Fifth highest total value in contract at 5 years. Right? He makes 18 and a half mil. Right? Like, there's other guys who signed for 2 or 3 years, right? Like Alex Bergman, he signed his AAV was like 40 mil for 3 years. But, like, I don't know. Who are they signing that are going to, like, wow, these guys are can't miss prospect or like such great players? That's the problem. So you lose these guys for nothing. That would be like, honestly, that would be like the Oilers letting Leon Draisaitl walk and get nothing for him. How do you think Oilers fans would respond to that? Oh, well, now we can spend the money elsewhere. Oh, yeah? Where? Right? Where? Who are you going to spend it on? Like, look at the free agents. Mitch Marner, think that's an upgrade? No. And, like, watch what Mitch Marner gets in free agency this year. I think he's going to get probably at least $12 million, Connor. Maybe more.
Teams will always be willing to spend a little extra to get a guy like that.
Yeah. And then I'm like, is it going to be value? I don't think so. So, also interesting to note the news coming down. Watch this. Kelly McCrimmon saying that Thomas Hertl did not go on the Knights 3-game road trip. He's still being tested to determine the severity of his injury. Ooh, there's a little spicy note coming out of Vegas to end the show. So keep that in mind. And they're expecting Shea Theodore to return sometime in the trip. But Thomas Hertl being tested for severity of his injury. And keep in mind, now, how the LTI, I got to look, if you put a guy on LTI, they still have 10 games, so you can get away with it. But anything other than that, you can't just hide a guy on LTI or late in the season because then he's got to be out 10 games. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. Have yourselves a lovely Monday. Let's get to Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. They're here to take care of your vehicle and your wallet, where you can save up to 25% off select tires and get an additional $120 mail-in rebate on any select set of 4 tires. Book your appointment now at fountaintire.com. Good night.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Later night in the NHL with just 4 games on the schedule. Canucks Devils scoreless, as are the Jackets and Islanders. Both games midway through the first period. Coming up in about 10 minutes, the Stars will host the Minnesota Wild. And at 7 o'clock, the Red Wings head to Utah, taking on the HC. In the association, the Raptors have a slight lead over the Wizards, 39-38 in the second quarter. You also got the Magic up on the Lakers, 44-41. And the Timberwolves trail the Pacers, 35-31. So news off the ice in the NHL. Winnipeg's Gabriel Vilardi will be out week to week with an upper body injury. He suffered that against the Sabres on Sunday. Head coach Scott Arniel is adding that his status for the playoffs is currently undetermined. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio all night, and live local coverage resumes tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. with Kevin Carius and Brandon Douglas. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen